Was Eric there last Thursday?
Who?
Was Eric there at the firehouse last Thursday?
No.
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 Yeah, last weekend.
Last week.
He wasn't there. Good. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, November 13th Litchfield Budget Committee meeting. We'll call the meeting to order and start tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Good evening and welcome, everyone. Tonight, we get into our school budget review by the Budget Committee, and we'll go through that process here in just a few minutes. Do I have any review or additions to tonight's agenda? All right. I do need to entertain a motion for remote participation. Mr. Brunel is joining us on the phone this evening. So I have a motion by Ms. Douglas, second by Mr. Barca. We will have to roll call vote tonight, so after we roll call, John, if you just want to share where you're at and if anyone is with you this evening. So roll call vote, Ms. Ames?
Aye.
Ms. Douglas?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Mr. LaPlante?
Aye.
Mr. Barca?
Aye.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
And Mr. Brunel? Abstain. Motion carries 1, 2, 3, 6, 0, 0. John, if you just want to let us know where you're at and if anyone's with you.
Yeah, I'm away on personal business down in Florida, and I am by myself and in a room secluded from everybody else.
All right. Well, thank you for joining this evening. Any other votes we do this evening, we'll do roll call votes on those. I also wanted to thank Ms. Ames for being here this evening and filling in for Mr. Cutter while he is out of town as well. We have two other members who are not here this evening, but I do believe they will be joining us shortly. Next on the agenda, we have public input. Do we have any members from the public who'd like to speak tonight?
Do you do it at the table?
Yeah. It's okay. If you just want to state your name and your address, please, sir.
My name is Raymond Peoples, 205 Charles Bancroft Highway, Litchfield, New Hampshire.
Thank you, sir.
As you know, I'm one of your state reps, and I am on education funding. That's my committee at the state. We were there all day today. We disposed of 14 bills. None of them would help Litchfield in any way. But there are some things coming down the line that may give us some relief in the next legislative session, which starts in January. So, although the bills that we disposed of today don't help us, there are things in the queue that might in the end. As you know, the state set up a commission to study the high costs of special education, and that's an ongoing study. Their first report was released, and they'll have a second report out shortly. But they got some good work going. Hopefully, we'll be getting some better information and data to help guide everyone a little better as we make some of these financial decisions. One of the things I have to say is after this assessment, I can only tell you that the town of Litchfield is not feeling like spending a lot of money. Everybody got hurt pretty bad. Trailer parks got clobbered, as many of you probably heard. My house personally went from 465 to 824 in one fell swoop. That's quite a bit. So I just urge, everyone to be conservative as you budget this year and, try to keep the taxpayers in mind. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Peoples. And thank you for your work at the state and always being willing to share. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other public input this evening?
Less public input, but just more awareness for the budget committee as we go through this evening, just so you know, as well as myself in the room. We also have Mrs. Grantham, Mr. Ross, Brendan Collins, Ms. Falzone, Dr. Taylor, Ms. Richardson, Ms. Crowley, and Ms. Pooler, who are also remotely back here. So when it comes to question answering, they're going to do their best to
Great.
Answer as live as possible.
We have a remote?
Remotely or through other methods.
Thank you. Yeah, we discussed that last night after the second joint session.
That's why I'm awkwardly here.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to close public input. We'll have a second public input session before we adjourn this evening. Next on the agenda is correspondence. Thank you to Mr. Taylor for putting this together today. Mr. Taylor did message me. He's out of town for work this evening, and I forgot he was not able to join this evening. I'm going to run through our correspondence. It has been some time since this group has met as an official body. Our last meeting was October 16th. So bear with me as I go through our correspondence for the last month or so. On October 17th, Chair Sun sent the draft version of proposed warrant articles from the town. On October 17th, Chair Sun sent the agenda for the November 13th Litchfield Budget Committee meeting. On October 20th, Chair Sun sent the October 16th Budget Committee meeting minutes. On October 24th, Heather Sneman sent the budget report for 10/24/25, along with the special fund balances and budgeted revenues for September. On October 29th, Matt Sullivan sent the October 16th meeting minutes, and Chair Sun sent the school superintendent's requested FY27 budget. On October 30th, Julie Darling sent additional information about the school superintendent's requested FY27 budget. October 31st, Chair Sun sent the times and location for the joint sessions with the school board. On November 1st, Ron Oblinus requested a copy of the FY27 school budget. On November 3rd, Kim Kleiner sent the town November newsletter. November 5th, Chair Sun sent the Excel file for the school budget for Mr. Cutter. On November 7th, Mr. Cutter sent an email with the rescheduled date for the second joint session. On November 8th, Ronald Blinas requested the clock schedule for the schools, and Mr. Cutter responded. On November 9th, Mr. Ronald Blinas requested information from the school board about the teaching load, and Mr. Cutter responded. On November 12th, Matt Sullivan sent the meeting minutes from the November 6th joint meeting. And then on November 13th, today, Ronald Blinas requested schedules for CTE students, and Mr. Cutter responded. That is our correspondence since our last meeting. Next, we have a review and acceptance of minutes from October 16th. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those? Entertain a motion to approve.
So made.
Motion by Mr. Burke,
Second.
second by Ms. Douglas. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll roll call vote. Ms. Ames,
Abstain.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Brunel.
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. LaPlante,
Yes.
Mr. Barca,
Yes.
and Mr. Burke.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0-1. All right, before we get into the school business this evening and the bulk of our time, Mr. Brunel had a couple of quick town updates that he wanted to share, so I'll turn the microphone over to him.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Just a couple of quick updates regarding the library conversations from last meeting. This was updated in our tracking document, but just to highlight a few important ones, I believe. So there were some questions around patron visits to the library and whether the numbers they were presented were, downloads or real people. The library experienced 14,964 people entering the building and doing some kind of activity and then leaving the building. With regards to the reduction that was done for line 750, which was a conversation around the circulation desk, the number in that line was not to replace the desk. It was actually to repair and make it upgraded to be ADA compliant, which is something they have to do. There is concern the reduction is going to actually not allow them to do that, but I guess we'll look at that down the road. The other question was they also wanted me to let you all folks know that prior to your actions on the 16th, I know you know this, many of the lines were already reduced by both action of the trustees, the library staff, and the Board of Selectmen. So there was already some significant tightening being done. The last one will be in the library would be school libraries. There was a comment about public libraries and school libraries. The librarians would like me to let you know that public libraries are public libraries, and they accompany different clientele, different materials. School libraries are not set up for that, nor are they actually open to the public. And that's it for the library updates. And there's a couple of things around town side. With regards to the actions from last week or this past Monday, sorry, warrants are on track. They're going to be delivered to you at your next meeting. We have our meeting on the 24th, I believe, and that's when we'll be approving and start pushing those forward. And so they're on schedule, as we said. The only other thing was not a warning, but just an update. Current budget is running tight. As we all know, we're on a default. There's a lot of areas that there's some concerns. We're hoping that, fingers crossed, not a bad winter or not a bad beginning of a winter. And we get to January 1st and we should be okay. Right now, we're tracking to be about south of $40,000 left in the bottom line if everything comes in the way I expect. That's it.
So I just have one comment. on the library about the 14,000 users. The question has been and continues to be, we do not have 14,000 people in town who have gone to the library. How many individual
Unique.
and unique people have used the library? Because if I borrow 10 books or I visit every day, that's 7 visits, but I'm only one person. So how many individual, unique people have used the library? That was the question before, still the question.
Yeah, that was going to be my
right,
follow up as well.
Yeah, I'll get your clarification. I'll get your clarification. But like I said, 14,000 visitors, over 14,000 visitors in the year. They are people coming in the door.
Yeah.
So that's
Yes.
what you know the usage.
No,
But,
I get
I
it, but that wasn't the question.
I think like 15,000 visits over, whatever the number of unique people is, I think is the data that we're looking for. So like that first piece is good, and then how many unique individuals does that represent? John, I
Okay.
have a quick follow-up.
Yep.
You mentioned the warrants. So we're scheduled to review both the town and the school warrants on December 18th. I think I heard you say we might get, I know we have a draft copy of those currently, but it sounds like the Board of Selectmen is reviewing those prior to Thanksgiving. And then those would be in the hands of the Budget Committee as early as the 1st of December, giving us 2.5 weeks to dig into those before that meeting. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, that is the intent. We hope to have all the language done before our next meeting, so we can discuss and approve or decide what's going to fall on or push forward.
So you're
But
voting.
in that document, yeah,
You're voting on them on 11/24.
that is our intent to vote on the ones we can on the 24th. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Mr. Brunel this evening? Okay. Thank you, John.
I actually did have one.
Oh, go ahead. There is one
I
question.
was thinking about
Mr.
like
Berg.
doing it later, but, so I know it's something small, but I'm just curious, who paid for the lights on the fire station?
Did you hear that, John?
Who paid for the physical lights that are put up or the running ones?
The decoration lights.
Who paid for them was the question.
They were a donation from the beautification group, I believe.
And is there any reason why we run them so long? And then again, I'm gonna hear like, they're LEDs, so it only costs a few pennies, but I don't understand why we run them till 8 o'clock in the morning. Same thing with the town.
So the lights are programmed to run from dusk to dusk, from dusk to dawn. So they are on a low level.
Yeah.
That's how they're scheduled today. I don't think anyone thought there would be any issue. It's not going to be much difference from a power draw.
Any follow-up?
Yeah, I don't know, like 8 hours, I mean, you're talking 8 hours a day times 365. I got it, it's pennies, but you know what? We're looking for everything, right?
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Brunel this evening?
Just like
All right.
gazebo.
Switching gears to our school budget review, I'm going to set the stage here before I turn it over to Mr. O'Connell and Ms. Darling. For those watching at home, we have spent yesterday and last Thursday in our joint budget review sessions with the school board. If you haven't had a chance to watch those are on YouTube. Those are meetings that are run and facilitated by the school board. It's their first opportunity to look over the budget, to ask questions, to hear from principals, department heads. A few years ago, we tweaked our process where budget committee members had an opportunity to attend those, to also ask questions during those sessions. I wasn't there last Thursday, but was there last night, and we were able to ask several questions, clarifying questions last evening. Now we shift in the process to the budget committee meeting. This is an opportunity for the full budget committee to ask any additional clarifying questions. I know that the audio was not great from last week's meeting. I was traveling and had a really hard time trying to hear it, and I told Mr. O'Connell and Ms. Darling last night that I may have some repetitive questions from last Wednesday's session just because of that audio. But other than that, we've had an opportunity to ask questions. We have the document where we're capturing questions, and then tonight, the goal is we're going to go through each of the slides that are here. Ms. Darling kind of tweaked the slides from last night. So each slide that we see, whether it's a department or a school, we're going to start at the top. We're going to see did that budget go up or down, and then what are the drivers behind that increase or decrease. We're going to let them share that information on that particular department or school. We will ask our questions, and then we'll move through that. We'll move through that process. I believe the slides are in order of the binder. They tweaked that, so if you're following along with the physical print binder, we shouldn't have to hop around. We're going in order of the binder. Our goal tonight, if we're efficient enough, is to get through all of these and ask as many questions as we can. We do have a meeting scheduled for next Thursday, the 20th. That was always an if-needed meeting for review. If we are efficient tonight and get through our questions and are able to work through the process, I believe, at this point in time, we may not need to meet next week. I know the school board is meeting next Wednesday on the 19th, and their plan is to take any votes that evening on any potential reductions to the budget. That would leave us at a place, we would have the week off for Thanksgiving, and then that first full week of December, I believe December 5th is the date, would begin budget committee voting on the school budget. So that's kind of the tentative plan going into this evening. We'll see how the night flows and where that leads us for next week. Any questions on the process?
Not in the process, but I do have a question before we get going.
Go ahead.
So, last year's budget, 25 budget. What was the dollar amount at the end of the year that wasn't spent? Not counting like all of the stuff you bought afterwards, just what was left of the 25 million?
Before encumbrances?
Yeah,
Before encumbrances or after?
yeah, before.
So it was 1.4 was our unassigned fund balance that came from our auditors. So there is some of that is tied up in some revenues and whatnot. So I believe it's probably closer to about 1.3 million was what we had honed it down to.
So in 25, we had 1.3 million left over. Then we go into a default budget, which you have to adjust for salaries and so on. And that budget's about $500,000 more than 25's. Right?
It's $500,000 more than this one we're in right now.
No. Your default budget increased over the 1.3 million you had left over.
Right.
Right. It's
So
increased.
the one we're presenting tonight.
No, but he's
No,
talking
I'm
about last year.
I'm just trying to do
Oh,
like
Wait,
the
what's
3
your starting
years.
point?
Sorry.
So 25, we end up with 1.3 million. Then we go into a default, which you have to increase for salaries and anything contractual. I get that. It raised another $500,000, right?
Was it only that much? I thought it was more than
Yeah,
that.
because it went from 26,549 and according to that, it's 27,013,000. So right now, we're in a default, $500,000 more for salaries. What's the possibility we end up with another 1.3 million left over?
That is definitely something that we are working to make sure that that does not happen this year. Last year, I will say that we had a brand-new administrative team at the SAU level, and it was not the budget that we created. We certainly did the best that we could to track that.
and I realize
So we
that,
didn't want to
but-
end up in the opposite direction.
Right, I realize 25 wasn't your budget, but 26, the default
Correct.
kind of is your budget.
It is,
And it's
absolutely.
increased because of contractual.
Correct.
So there's still that possibility of that 1.3 million just hanging there. Because you haven't filled all those positions, and that's where the majority of that
That's
money
true.
came from.
So, from the 25 budget, when we had about 1.3 left over,
Yep.
about 900 of that was because of personnel-related things,
Yep.
salary and benefits, right? Bunch of those positions we cut for this year's budget, even though we're even in a default. So
Yep.
like all the positions, I think it was at least one teaching position and then a bunch of paraprofessionals are out of this default budget. We still do have a number of open positions that we haven't filled. We've had to repurpose some of that money to contracted related things to offset not having people in those places, such as the custodial, we have contracted services with
But you were
custodial
doing that,
provider.
you were doing that in 25 also.
We are doing that in 25 as well. So we do anticipate, even though it's a default budget, and if everything goes as planned, we anticipate having leftover money, because we have those open positions
Right.
there. Now, because we're in default, we've still moved forward with some things in our proposed budget. Default sets that bottom line number. For example, with the default number, we have to take out some transportation stuff, right? And one of the things we discussed about last spring when we realized we were in the fall is not offering the after school, the late bus run anymore, right? We elected to move forward with the late bus run and continue to provide that service, hoping we would have savings in other places in the default, such as in open positions to accommodate that. So we're trying to find the pieces to still accomplish everything we want to accomplish, recognizing that we have some money because we have these open positions right here. I do not expect us to have $1.3 million left over. I think that would be problematic if we were at that same number.
But if we don't fill the positions that are still vacant, there's still gonna be a good chunk of change.
There's still gonna be money available at the end of the year, yes.
And then we'd roll into this year's budget, again, because of contractual, $400,000 more than what the default is. And that's with savings that you like laid out to us the last couple of meetings, so.
So I think I'm gonna like you later this season, is what I'm hearing. Yes, Brian and I might actually.
Ray touched on it, okay? Everyone got their tax bills.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of shock. And again, as we know, as a board, I mean, it's our due diligence to present to the town folk, a solid budget. But if we're like looking at, 1.3
agree
million,
with you.
possibly like $750,000 this year.
I think too, we have to, as a board, recognize that if we want to assist in achieving certain goals in town, then we have to demonstrate that that it is a lean budget, because people are hurting. They saw that. Some people were surprised. I was not surprised. I saw the tax rate impact for default. I knew it was gonna hurt. But if we were gonna be seeking a contract, we're gonna be looking at a school, then we have to demonstrate that we, as a group here too, did our part in minimizing the impact elsewhere. So if people support those projects, we need to be able to demonstrate to the taxpayers that all the things that some of us have been arguing should be removed from the budget to reduce the impact are. Like, it has to be reflective of actual costs. Otherwise, we're gonna be singing the same song and dance on a new school for more years because people just can't afford it. Not without some savings, not without some changes to the way the budget's created.
Any other opening thoughts before we turn it over? Okay, thank you both. All right, Mr. O'Connell, turn it over to you.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through some of the same opening slides, but probably not spend as much time on them as I did last week. So we still have our 3-year goal plan that we developed last year. We're still in the middle of doing that. This is an overview of the goals. You all have this proposal. You can click on the hyperlink and go into great detail about
Can
all
I
the
pause
actions.
you real quick?
Yep.
I forgot to say one thing. So everyone should have access to the slides, to the budget in the folder that was shared by Ms. Darling and Mr. Cutter. All of whether it's the slides, the things that we've asked for, the budgets themselves, they're all within that budget folder. So if you're not able to locate that, just let me know. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Key factors as we were developing this budget, it's nice that most of us now have at least a full year in our positions. When we were in front of you a year ago, we were very new to our respective positions, 4 significant positions in the SAU. Now that we have that experience and going through the process, seeing things such as how the end of the year played out, those type of things, we've kept that in mind with our budgeting kind of moving into this year. We're very aware of 2 potentially significant additional cost items that are being discussed. One is an LEA contract for our teachers, as we've been negotiating that with them, and something related to the facility and educational needs at GMS. We have a community forum next week, next Tuesday, 6 o'clock at GMS. We'll be sharing some information related to that project. But we are very aware that those additional cost items may be in our budget this year. And because of that, we've tried to be very fiscally responsible with our budget. I won't go into great detail, but please feel free to click on these links for our enrollment projections. We're projecting to be steady across the district next year with the number of kids that we have in the district. There's a cohort tracking there if you want to see the different classes over time, how they either as a group increase or decrease over time. And then the birth rate data link just details how we got to our projections. We were off last year, so we've adjusted how we did our enrollment projections this year to try to better account for a more accurate birth rate data using the Department of Health and Human Resources here, their data from the state, and then aligning that more to the school year versus the calendar year. So that has produced some adjustments to our enrollment projections. These are our projections. If you go through the birth rates, there's not a great correlation between birth rate and kindergarten enrollment. Sometimes it doubles, sometimes it's about the same. So we do the best we can. That's why it's just a projection. This proposal, again, just includes our Fund 10 accounts, which is the school and SAU budgets. There are additional accounts that we're not going to touch on where we do stuff involving grants from the state. We will touch on food service. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But that's technically a Fund 21, correct? 21 account. But we're going to talk primarily about the Fund 10 accounts. The LMS lease is still included in our budget, and we do have some reduction of professional support positions in this proposal. We will talk about food service, but when we talk about the final total numbers, it does not include food service. It's a separate account that gets taken care of later on in the
But
process.
it's not self-funded, so shouldn't it be included in the budget?
It's supposed to be self-funded, but from a legal state standpoint, we can't include any aspect of it in our Fund 10 at all.
So, but it will be included in the bottom line school budget, though.
When we show you different revenues and how we compute and estimate tax rates, we account for expected,
And a loss.
yeah. So,
Well,
but
that's-
we can't budget the loss into our Fund 10 in any way. We can't budget an increase or a revenue from it in any way, so.
That just seems crazy to me because we are paying for it.
You are preaching to the choir over here. Like, we wish we could do it differently, but that is how it is mandated that we do it, so.
Well, then that just reminds me that it should be self-funded.
I do not disagree. But it's not gonna be in our final numbers that we talk about here. Our LEA agreement is not in here. If we get to that point, where we come to an agreement with the LEA, that would be a separate warrant article. And then the GMS project, if we get to a point that we feel comfortable moving that forward, it would also be a separate warrant article. So those numbers are not a part of anything we're gonna discuss tonight.
One item, and we can discuss this after the meeting tonight. I'd just like the conversation we had with Mr. Brunel, just the timing of when we'll get a copy of those warrant articles
Yes.
in advance of that December 18th meeting, so that
Yeah.
we have some time to review them prior
Yeah.
to that meeting.
We discussed some first steps in that process at our last board meeting. We'll follow it up at this next. We have a line, not to get too far off task for our purpose tonight. We do have a timeline with our pre-engineering or pre-construction people and our construction manager on when we should expect a GMP. Am I saying it right?
Yes.
GMP for that, which would be, part of the bond and everything else. So we're looking forward to it. But we have your dates in mind, and we're lining up so far.
Thank
Fingers
you.
crossed we continue. So.
Thank you.
And then, so the big picture overview. If you were there last week, we did get our health insurance rates, so that is accounted for in here. We have updated these slides and the stuff in the folder, and binder updates are coming once we get them all printed off and physical copies of that. But we want to make sure we accounted for this evening. We are in default, which is a little bit over $27 million. The next year, including now the final health insurance rate that we have, our proposed budget, so at this current moment, is $27.5 million. It's an increase of 1.8%, or a little under $500,000.
But again, that doesn't factor in the subsidizing food.
It does not, no.
So that's another, 100,000?
Well, we don't add it. It's not extra money we have to generate. We have to make sure we have that money to cover it.
But it's in
But, no, because we subsidize it. We don't generate, you may not be allowed to carry it in your
Money comes
budget.
to us as a revenue.
Right.
So if we've broken even, let's say it's $500,000 for food services, right,
Right.
to operate the entire thing. If it's $500,000 and we've broken even, then we get
Right.
$0 out of
Right,
it,
but
right?
you're,
If it cost $500,000 to run and it was $400,000 is what they generated in revenue, we in our budget need to find $100,000 to account for it.
but you're not budgeting that $100,000 in your budget.
Correct. We cannot budget it in. It's like we can't have a line item that assumes a deficit is coming in for revenue.
then how did we do it in the past?
We have done that in the past.
We got our hands slapped because we were doing that.
All right, so, that's fine though, okay,
How hard
okay.
was the slap?
That's what I was confused about too.
It's hard enough, but we're not doing it.
No, we didn't.
All right, that's fine if you're not doing it, but in my mind though, whether or not there's still another $150,000 out there, because you're gonna anticipate having
You
to
can't
come.
add to this number because
You can't, but I can in my head. So how much in my head should I add to it?
zero, because we can't generate that money from anywhere else. Like, if it comes in under, let's assume this is our final number. I know it's not. Assume this 27.5 is our final number, right? And the revenue comes in under a year from now for food
Right.
services, let's say by $100,000 for just round numbers. We better be under this number as we've gone through the year by $100,000. Like, our underspend better be, or we're in big trouble. Because we're not gonna have the revenue to cover the loss in food service in that hypothetical. Because we can't budget for the loss.
So you basically have every school in the state that has to do the same thing.
Correct.
They have to wish and hope that they have money left over to take care of the.
Correct. Right. And schools in the past have tried to come up with some creative way of budgeting in it. We've been told that is no longer, we should no longer do
By
it,
our
which
aud-
makes
by
sense
our auditors?
because it's a revenue.
By
Yeah.
the DRA.
By the DRA.
But even though we know our food, so that puts us in a tough spot then, because we know that our cost doesn't, the price we charge does not cover the cost. So we know that. So we know we're gonna take a hit. And so we're gonna cover it in some way.
You gotta figure it out.
It almost forces you that there are positions that you can't fill because
In which case, then I want the money for the position. So that's what I'm saying though, like, to me, then it kind of forces you to have to raise
But
your
I mean, that's
prices.
true of any year, anything. There's gonna be unexpected costs that we have to figure out how to handle. We just had an HVAC system fail at one of the portables at GMS, right? That wasn't budgeted for, so we
I
had to
just
figure
remember
out
we
the
had
money
a
to pay
very
for it.
lengthy discussion at a deliberative about making sure we subsidized food, and now,
And I think schools over the years, because many districts, not every district, many districts run in the red with their food service, have been trying to figure out any creative way to account for that in their budgeting process.
so they're trying to force you back to self-fund.
I think they're trying to follow proper accounting rules, right? And I think there's been an effort to like recognize that like there's going to be a loss there, so how can we account for that from a budgetary standpoint?
But then as a taxpayer, I'm thinking there's an extra $100,000 somewhere to cover the known loss that's gonna come.
But we gotta sacrifice something, right? Like in the hypothetical positions is kind of the most convenient right now, right? Because rarely is a school district fully staffed at this point. So any district, like, is not fully staffed. So in the back of your head, you're like, okay, this stinks, I can't fill this position, but at least I've clipping away at like, this is a savings, this is a savings, this is a savings. So for this inevitable thing that's gonna pop up, I have something already. If we, in some crazy situation, were fully staffed and we're like projecting to have that loss in revenue and everything else was cost exactly as how we budgeted to, I don't know what we would do. Like, that would be a significant
to
problem. We don't
budget
have a
freeze or
reserve
something.
fund, we don't have anything like that. This is kind of the challenge when food service is its own separate account. If you're just, and I'm not the smartest person in the world about all this, but if you're just asking me, I would love if food service just came under the school budget.
Right.
Because then we could just be more transparent from the budgeting standpoint about food service. There are workers anyways, we're hiring them, we're paying their salaries, we're paying their insurance and everything, like it comes from the district. But it's a separate account and separate bookkeeping with that. I'm sure there are reasons. I'm not smart enough to tell you what those reasons are. That's why you have the DRA and those type of people. But like, from our seat, sometimes it's really frustrating that we can't align this stuff up correctly, right? And we have to keep the people like separate.
Right, no, my guess is it's because they expect it to be self-funded, and the best way to keep it self-funded is to keep it separate, and you know how much your fund you have to raise.
I think it's also because you probably got dollars flowing in from, free
I'm
free
sure,
introduced
right,
lunch
that's what
and
I'm
all of
saying,
that.
like,
Like, it helps manage
People who
it.
Okay.
understand this stuff because of the federal funding with it, with this, there's
Right.
probably different rules that force it to be its own account. I'm not criticizing that mindset. I'm sure there are reasons.
It's a
but
good call out that it's not in this number, that there is a known gap that you all are aware of, that we are aware of, that has to be taken into account throughout this entire process. So,
And I will say that our director of food service, Ms. Crowley, has really made sure that she's trying to make some changes to increase revenues, doing more à la carte things. So she's doing her best, and she's keeping a very close eye on how we're doing throughout the year.
we heard last night, a la carte was up.
Oh, that iced coffee. Let me tell
Yeah,
you.
the iced coffee. yeah.
Ash Shoemaker buying
She's being creative.
When was the last time it was self-funded? Do you
I
know?
don't know that it was in.
I don't know.
It was, I mean, when I was in the school board, it was still self-funded, I think. I mean, that was a while ago, but it was definitely.
They actually ran a
We used to
surplus.
make money off of
Used
it,
to
yeah.
have a lot of money
I
left
think
over
they
to buy
changed
equipment.
how you can do some of the staffing. Don't quote me, but
No,
from
yeah.
other
That was my next
districts,
question, was like, what changed?
from other districts, I know that some people who, like, some positions can be put into the school budget. I don't know it all inside and out,
Okay.
like, well enough to comment with certainty, right?
Yeah.
But you saw that with a number of districts that were running into the black when they redid the rules with it. Certain positions,
the
like
counting
if,
when it changed.
right, like if you took our workers, right, and we just paid them as district employees,
Yeah.
we would then be way in the black with our food
Just
service.
the cost of food versus.
It's
what
just
we
the
sell it
cost
for.
of the staff, and because it has to be in that separate account, it puts us under the red with it. Now, ideally, yes, it would just be even, and ideally, we'd be making money even with the staff aspect of it, right? But like, it's challenging because you gotta find the right balance point on the prices of all this. Like, we are one of the more expensive, like, food service providers when it comes to, it's still $4.
So if you
It's
took an
like
employee
whatever.
from each school, from the CAF, and list them as a para, problem solved?
It's solved, right, but they're not paras, right? Like, we can't,
Who knows that?
well,
If we got.
this is the creative book.
The auditors.
You're
The auditors, CRA.
Workers' comp.
I mean, if you're okay with it, we can do that. I mean, look, you
Well,
know,
they are overseeing students, right?
I mean, I think that's kind of again just my frustration. Like, there are employees, right?
Yeah.
And you know, their work, like, if we could maybe even utilize them differently if they weren't exclusive to the kitchen, right? Like, because they're protected in that aspect, like they're
Is that a
coming
state
into work.
law? Is that a?
I mean, we have to get creative, like hire this person, they have to clock in and out, and then they have to clock in and out as a kitchen person, clock, like, let's say they
How
wanted to
they're
do-
funded? Is that a state reg or okay?
Yeah, so.
I hate asking questions I don't know the answer to in this forum particularly. But Exeter recently passed that they were going to do free lunch and free breakfast in light of the SNAP benefits and whatnot. How do they fund that? So if we made the active decision, let's say, to say we want to intentionally give $100,000 to food services, can we do that?
I don't know the details. I know different districts have tried different things, right?
Are
Like
they a
Manchester-
member are they participating in the federal program?
That's one of the things,
Because
right?
a lot of schools that do a lot of that stuff opt out.
Opt out, okay.
Like Manchester did that for a while. They opted out of the federal program and then
Okay.
ran their own food program, right?
Yeah.
And then they're not restricted on what they can sell or what they can pay people, like all these different things, right? But then you really better make sure you're generating
Yeah, you
enough
don't,
revenue.
yeah, you won't lose that
And
revenue.
they eventually didn't, right? It wasn't fiscally responsible for them to do that anymore. They were losing even more than what they were previously.
Got it.
How Exeter doing that, I'm not sure. I know some,
It's a recent change. It was
Yeah.
something that
They
happened.
got lots of businesses.
I mean, some communities have decided that was the best thing for their community, or have discussed it and have decided, you know, we're gonna put this
Yeah.
cost, you know, and I don't know the bookkeeping aspect of that, whether that's, they're allowed to do that or what it is, I don't know.
Okay. All right. I want to keep us moving though, but good discussions and good observations and things for us to keep in mind as we go through this
Lauren can
process.
chime in if you'd like, or,
Um,
That was last self-funded.
we have Lauren McCauley. Lauren, the 2017 to 2018, we increased 2 part-time leads to full-time, and that added benefits.
was that a warrant article?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Still not 100,000.
No, yeah, but adding benefits is probably 50,000.
Yeah, it's probably good. It's probably
Salaries,
close.
it's probably close to 100,000.
Although Lauren may be talking.
All right. We can go ahead and keep going. We can come back to that.
Not saying this is all the increases in the budget, obviously, or all the decreases, but there's 3 big ones I just want to draw your attention to. Health insurance, severance, we have a spike in severance payments, which we'll go into detail with. And then technology, the non-personnel side of it, so hardware and software, are 3 big drivers. They are not the sole drivers of the budget, but I think they're the ones that people are going to be most interested in, so I just want to highlight them quickly. Like I said, we got our rate increase, I think technically yesterday, but it may have been even Tuesday. I lose track of the days at this point. But it's an 18.6 increase, rate increase there. Our LSSA is currently on School Care 1.0. Our non-union people are shifting to School Care 2.0 plan, which starts with a 4-point savings before it gets that increase to it. So if you think about it, they've shifted to the plan, their initial cost comes down, then the rate increases applied to it. So there is savings there for non-union. The LEA insurance package will be dependent on the warrant. Right now, if nothing happens with the contract, either we don't come to an agreement and we're in an impasse, or we do come to an agreement and it goes to warrant and it fails, then they stay on the school care 1.0 plan. But if we come to an agreement and that all gets to a good place and the contract passes, they would shift to school care 2.0 where that savings would come into place. So they're dependent on how the warrant shakes out there.
Well, I would remind, and not for, the last time we saw an 18% increase, it was on the police department. And they were gracious enough to consider the impact to the taxpayers, and they came back to us with a savings. So we have a larger impact at 18%. So regardless of whether the state of the contract, for the good of passing things, it might be worth a conversation.
So we've had good negotiations with
Yep.
the LEA. I feel like they recognize where we are as a district right now. I don't want to get into too much detail because
That's
they're
fine.
ongoing. But it's been a positive session with them through the fall here.
Can I clarify something I think I heard you just say? I don't want to oversimplify this. If either you don't come to an agreement or a proposed warrant doesn't pass, these costs would go up.
No, so we budgeted in the
They
event.
would be this number right here.
Correct. We've budgeted in the event that there's no changes to the LEA.
This is the ceiling.
This is the ceiling, correct.
If a warrant article were to pass and they move to school care 2.0, there's approximately a 4% savings of that number right there.
In simplest terms, yes, but you're gonna see though.
Yeah, I
because
knew.
we're
I
presenting-
said it was an oversimplification, but yeah.
like, let's play things out, right? We come to an agreement. What you will see on a warrant for the LEA contract is the total of salary and benefits together. So I doubt they're gonna agree to $0, right? So let's assume that there's at least $1 increase that they've agreed to in salary and benefits as part of their contract, right? Like that is gonna encompass savings for health insurance plus any salary increase and the other benefits that come into play there.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Yep.
I want to make sure I understood that.
And is there any risk of another assessment being levied against the school?
It's a great question. You asked me a year ago, I'd say 0, but you asked me today, I would say, I got no idea. 50-50, I don't know how this is gonna play out. I think it's less than 50-50. I'm hoping they learn from their mistakes and they're not in the same situation. This is the highest increase this district has seen in at least 5 years in the history that we can pull rates and stuff like that. So it seems like with the rates they're putting to school districts, they're accounting to have more money in hand, to not have to turn around and do an assessment on school districts. But this was supposed to be something that it can happen. Obviously, it did happen, but it wasn't supposed to happen ever, so it was don't worry about it, it's never going to happen, happened and put us in quite a challenging situation. So.
I don't want to get ahead of any conversations the school board are having. So if you tell me this is too early to have, are schools actively pursuing leaving school care?
I think schools are looking at every option on the table, right? I think as our own district, I think this is fair to say, we're trying to look out for the right things for us financially and from a health insurance perspective, right? That was what we experienced this fall is not something we want to ever experience again, right? So we're going to look at our options, whatever those cases may be. There are other, school care is a risk pool. There's other risk pools that we're going to look at. There's non-risk pool situations. If a bunch of you, I'm sure, are in private industries where your insurance is very different than us from the public sector. So we got to look at a ton of different options. I think it would be wise for any school district to look at their insurance across the board and how they're doing it, because this is not something that schools want to deal with on a regular basis.
That's not going to be anything that would be a part of this budget.
I think it would be challenging to get that all in place for this budget, right?
So then is the contract a 1-year contract or a 2-year extended contract? Because, no, I'm thinking LEA, because if we don't think that we can get this addressed this year,
Yep.
and we approve a contract for 3 years, then we're stuck with school care for 3 years.
Or we go back to the table with them, right? Like, there's no
Sidebar.
reason why we can't go back to them and sit down. I mean, if
But
we're
they're not
gonna,
obligated to allow us to.
they're not obligated to sit back down with us, but if we're gonna find out, I mean, they're getting hit with health insurance too, right? Like, they're paying
Their
more
costs
for
are
their
going up,
premiums.
Well, yeah, but we just paid a significant amount that was never authorized by the taxpayers as part of a compensation package. So,
Moving that off to here, right? Because we could go back to the assessment, and I have some real issues with how that was all handled from school care. I do. But we gotta move to the future.
No, I just
right?
wanna make
So-
sure that we're protected, like, if we find a better
And
deal next year,
that's what I
we can't guarantee we can access it.
But if we have a better deal, I think it would be, I cannot speak for the LEA leadership.
Right.
But if we're finding a better deal that's for us financially, it's likely a better deal for them financially as well. So I would think there would be
generally agree with that,
incentive
yeah.
for them to sit down and have a conversation with us. Because one of their most pressing issues is their health insurance costs, because theirs is also increasing. Like ours, we as a district is going up by 18.6%. What they're, the individual coming out of their pet is going up 18.6%. So if we come up with some sort of solution to healthcare that's going to lower our costs, it's likely going to lower theirs as well. And I cannot speak for them,
Right.
but if I was them, I would come to the table and have a conversation at that point, right? And then, because I think that's what it has to be, that win-win. Now, we recognize the uncertainty with healthcare, and again, while I can't get into specifics about negotiations, I would say there's equal sides are concerned about this issue, right? So, and aware of it.
Thank you. We can keep going.
Good. I'm on like slide 2. This is going great.
It's 10. We're on 10. 10.
40 more.
Severance, these numbers I'm going to talk about include the salary that comes along with severance, Social Security, and retirement. These are contractual obligations that we have to pay out. How I'm going to summarize the long part of it. When a teacher hits a certain point, they can request for us to put aside a significant part of their severance. They don't have to retire once they've made that request to the school district, but they can make a request that they are thinking about retirement, which then means we got to budget for the potential severance payment that would come out with us. A few years ago, smartly, the town, the budget committee, the school board, everybody together created a warrant article that means we don't have to keep pulling up the recurring costs if someone chooses not to retire and putting a big amounts of money towards severance. But we do have to raise it that first time someone makes a request. So for example, in this current year, a year ago from now, we had no one new put in towards retirement. So we had 2 people who stayed on. And because their big request was already taken care of and shifted into the reserve fund, there was little attached to severance in this current budget. We have 3 new individuals who have reached the point where they could start to look at retirement. There's no guarantee they will. But in addition to the 2 that haven't retired, so we have to raise that first time kind of giant balloon payment severance payment for them. Regardless of what their decision is, you wouldn't see their big balloon spike a year from now in budgeting. Either they're going to retire, which means we would pay it out, or I guess it's dependent on the warrant article passing connected to it, but like there'll be a warrant article that would take, if they don't retire, there'd be a warrant article down the road that takes that giant balloon payment out of the underspent, because we didn't spend it because they didn't retire, and shift it to the reserve fund. So long story short, we're seeing 3 big balloon payments added to this budget. That's what that difference is.
That warrant article is not going to be in this coming March.
Correct.
It would
The
be
warrant article-
following March.
The one you're going to see in March is to take this money in this year's current budget out of
$5,700.
$5,760 and put
Yeah,
it into
so
the
it's
reserve.
always lagging.
It's always lagging a year behind. Yep.
Okay.
And then we'll go into more specifics when we get to the slides, but technology, non-personnel, we're seeing a big jump in hardware and software. You're going to ask me a bunch of questions. That's why
Yep.
I got that up. I'm going to turn to Dan quite a bit and get answers from Brendan, our new tech director. There were some questions asked last night. We're working on that, getting the complete list comparison from Brendan is new. If you didn't know, we just hired him at the end of September to take over as our IT director. So he's going to, his first day was literally when the budget was due to me. So welcome to the district, Brendan. So he's working through the question that came up last night about the comparison of last year's request to this year's request. But hardware and software, just looking at those, it's about 89,000 that's increased there. Look, I'm going to try to sell this the best I can. That's my job. So these big drivers, these 3 big ones right here, is about $667,000 of increases for just these 3 categories alone. Like I said, my job is to sell this to you. So our increase for this year that we have proposed is only $487,000. And if you take these 3 drivers and you subtract the 487 increase, we're actually saving you money. That's how good we are. We've saved you $180,000 in the proposed budget beyond these 3 drivers. I just do that as comparison because one of our challenges is we want to be fiscally responsible. We truly do. But there are things sometimes out of our control. Now, technology is something we'll have a conversation about, but that severance, it is what it is. If those 3 people did not make that decision this year, that's $100,000 out of this budget right there, right? That you're not seeing at all. And the health insurance, if we're just down, 8% from that 18%, you're looking at cutting off a couple $100,000 there as well for that. So there's some things that makes this challenging to get super under on.
Okay, thank you.
Pause there because we're going to go through here.
Any high level before we get into schools and departments? All right, let's take each slide. We'll let you summarize the increase, decrease, the drivers, and then we'll pause for questions on Campbell, LMS, GMS, et cetera, and work our way through. We'll take those questions for each one.
So we've adjusted these slides from the 2 joint sessions, and we've put the net increase or decrease, as we mentioned earlier, on the top of the slide. We've changed a little bit about the explanations just to simplify it for people, and trying to match it to what you have in your binder. So Campbell's should be the first thing in your binder, so we'll talk about Campbell first. This is not every increase or decrease. These are just more of the ones that we want to, that are either bigger or have some conversation around them and stuff like that. So, please correct me if there's any typos. We were transitioning this over this afternoon amongst a bunch of other things. I accidentally added a space here. I can see, and it's driving me nuts as I'm looking at it right now. So I apologize if anything's slightly mistyped somewhere. So. But with Campbell, we have new principal, Jen Mitchinson. She did a great job. She's done a great job. All our principals do a great job, but she did a great job with the budget. Some of the increases you're going to see, we have an athletics trainer contract that's going up again, about $600,000.
$6,000.
$6,000. So I'm already messing up. Athletic transportation in general goes up every single year, up about $10,000. You're going to see toner and for printers is going up across the board everywhere. It's a little over $1,000 for the high school, and then again transportation increase there. The rest of Jen's departments have kind of a net decrease of about $29,000. So trying to balance the increases with savings in other aspects around the school.
Questions on Campbell?
Yeah, it's too bad you don't want to put in the warrant for that athletic trainer again.
You were just stealing my thunder because that was literally like I feel I've harped on that $40,000 or whatever it was. Like,
And we talked about it last year that, you're going to see a big increase coming in, and here it is, $6,000.
yeah, and I think there's an even bigger jump after that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like it's like a $20K jump next year, right?
I think we have to renegotiate the
But
parameters of the basic contract, and they've told us like we're gonna. They can. So they
Yeah, I remember it was a small increase, and then there was a big one coming. This is the small one.
So what stops them from putting another warrant article in?
No, that's up to them.
I mean, it failed, right? Like we presented a warrant article last year that
So didn't
was
your
gonna
budget.
save money.
So,
Do we good?
I don't disagree with you, but when we look at like some of our philosophy, I mean, this is ultimately the board's decision.
Yeah,
But like
absolutely.
we were talking to them about it, like we're trying to make this as simple as possible for people. We recognize like the financial aspects of everything, and we have those 3 big ticket items, right? Like the proposed budget, LEA contract, and possibly GMS, right? We don't want to clutter the warrant with other things. So those are the 3 big ticket things. It's going to be a lean warrant, or at least that's what we're recommending to the board. It's ultimately their choice. Make it a lean warrant that talks about your 3 big things, and then probably stuff connected to reserve funds.
I don't disagree with you, Brian. Like,
and I'm sure, I know you feel the same way. It's
Yeah.
disappointing the fact that you present a warrant that's saving
I agree.
money.
But I understand their philosophy behind it too,
Yep.
because it gets cluttered up, and I think it would wind up failing again. I thought we and they did a good job last year of communicating this is actually a cost savings, and it still failed. So I understand your logic of not putting it forward.
Now, a year from now, when we're in a different place, right? Maybe it's something we can revisit. That's when we're going to see that, or anticipate, I guess I should say, that more significant spike to this contract, where maybe that helps people understand like where we're really headed with this, and that's
Yeah.
the opportunity to kind of address that.
Yep.
And this is a position that is required for athletics.
We have to have someone on site. Otherwise, we're hiring a doctor to be on site for some of these things, and that expense is going to be.
Well, there's probably liability if you don't have
No,
somebody.
I know. I just also know that there's a lot of schools, even very competitive schools, who have reconsidered athletic funding as a result of their budget constraints. And perhaps at some point we need to do the same.
Other questions on Campbell this evening? Okay. MS.
LMSC, slight increase of about $21,000. I think one of the big things we're looking at is the replacement of broken furniture. We have some calf tables. If you were there last Thursday, Ms. Grantham brought a prop, which was one of the broken calf tables, and how it just broke from being picked up at the end of the lunch period. So we're looking to start a rotation on the replacement of the calf tables. They're not cheap, so the net increase for furniture replacement, we factor that in with some additional folding chairs to kind of have, they're more just easier for us to use rather than the hard metal ones that we have. That increases about $8,000, a little more than that. Additional supplies for sustainability and facts classes. You see them as increases because we've taken away world language. So essentially, those two courses have replaced what at one point we had 2 world language teachers at the middle school. For just clarity purposes, that's not necessarily by choice. We would love to continue to offer world language at the 7th and 8th grade level. We couldn't find anyone. We've had jobs posted for the better part of 2 years and have not been able to find Spanish teachers for the middle school level. So we had to make some hard choices. We need offerings for the kids. So we transitioned to the sustainability class and the facts class. But, you know, we do the best we can with the situation and the hand that we're dealt. So there's some supply increases there that show up in their lines because there's no world language. Athletics is going up. We would like to work on replacing uniforms. Ms. Grantham and Mr. Ramos and Mr. and Dan there at the middle school, DeForney, have been working on getting a good solid uniform rotation in place so we can make sure all the uniforms are up to date. I think their proposed is in the folder, the proposed schedule for those uniforms.
Weren't a couple of those uniforms only like 3 years old?
Yeah, so the idea would be every 4 years you replace them. So
Is that based on why?
pretty standard school.
Like, are they actually like destroyed after 4 years?
Some
I just
can-
feel like when I was playing high school sports, they were a couple cycles early. Like they were there for a
Yep,
while.
They get beat up pretty good. You know, like a soccer jersey. They're not going to be the same quality as the high school jerseys. Yep, jump in.
So additionally, when we sat and talked about the uniform replacement, and looking at the replacement cycle, in order to clear any confusion between boys and girls uniforms being handed down from one to another, we tried to align the cycle so that both boys and girls are being replaced with new at the same time, which did shift the cycle slightly so that in soccer shows boys soccer and girls soccer were not purchased in the same year, but they're trying to be replaced in the same year in order to align that cycle.
I guess given where we are budgetarily and tax wise, I would encourage us going the other shift, wait an extra year as opposed to shortening it up a year. That would be what I would do anyway. That perhaps I get the philosophy, but rather than shortening the year of one, I'd extend the year of the other. It's because that's a lot of money for uniforms when we're looking at increases. And how many years, like, is this what we'd be looking at every year? Like, what is the cycle that we're looking at?
Approximately. I mean, there'd be a little variation. Not every team is as big as other teams, right? This first year involves the soccer uniforms. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jen, but I think they're the 2 biggest teams we have at the middle school, the 2 soccer teams.
Correct.
Yeah, and then like say when cross country's up or track's up, their uniform is not as expensive as a soccer uniform. So there'd be some slight variation, but it'd be approximately that amount every year.
So when track and cross country is up, it's really replacing one uniform because they use the same one for fall and spring sports. It's replacing the same full set for, this year we had 48 runners in cross country in spring, or 49 track athletes last spring. I'm sorry, 40, the numbers, cross country fall, track spring, 48, 49 kids in each. That's only replacing 49 uniforms.
Go ahead, Mr. O'Connor.
Would it make more sense to be more predictable and consistent to split the 2 biggest schools up in separate years, you know, and pair them up with a school so you're, you know, when you're forecasting this out in the future, you're not heavy one year, light one year, heavy one year. It's a little bit more predictable and consistent.
I don't disagree with you, but I just want your help when one of those genders gets mad that the other gender didn't get the uniforms.
That was
So,
Facebook
like,
last year, right?
Yeah, we faced that.
But wasn't that in part because we changed the mascot?
I mean, you replace, I think, them in bulk when you change the mascot, right? You went from,
I don't know.
what your previous mascot was.
Yeah, that was like
but,
3 or 4 years ago.
whenever you made that decision to go to Lynx, you replace, I think,
Raiders.
if not all the uniforms, close to all the uniforms.
So then you're telling me then it's all of their uniforms are relatively new and that we're replacing them after only a few years?
But I think that's where you go with athletic uniforms, like, and if you want to do differently,
Are on their last leg, they're threadbare, letters are falling off, it's not representing our town, or our school in the best that we can. The place that I would love to see about cutting is the next bullet that Ryan has on the list there.
Which one's that?
That one's on my agenda
What's
as well.
I think with
Transportation.
I think with the uniforms, just to close the loop on that, while we go with 4 years, the philosophy behind it is that when you have these 4-year schools, like a high school or the middle school currently, that guarantees every kid who's playing a sport will get a uniform during that time that they're at the school. That's the philosophy behind it. You can agree to disagree with it, that's fine, but that's where that 4-year window comes.
No, I appreciate you understanding where it's come from, and yes, we will agree to disagree.
Let's move into transportation, because that one's a little more interesting.
Yep. So the total increase, because transportation goes up, is about $14,000, a little more than $14,000. About $12,000 of that is we've been asked to, instead of no longer using DARA for soccer and lacrosse practices, to use Sawmill for that. We're more than willing to do that move. That's not an issue per se for us. There's just an additional cost related to it, right? Because we have to bus the kids down to Sawmill, after school, because we currently hold practices after school. So we have budgeted for that increase. I am sure there are questions for that, so
Can you
pause there?
Yeah, thank you for pausing. Can you walk me through why the cost per pupil is twice that of taking to an away game when we're going to Sawmill?
Yeah, let me look.
Because there's a minimum in-district cost that we have to spend for the transportation. So when we called the bus company to ask how much it would cost to transport, boys and girls soccer in the same bus and, boys and girls lacrosse in the same bus to Sawmill, it's a one-way trip. There's a minimum cost within, our agreement, because it's not on a regular route, they can't just take 40 kids on bus 5 and drop those 40 kids off like they do now. If the kids are going to Dara, they just get on their regular bus and when it stops at Campbell, they get off and they walk over to Dara. So it's not a new trip. This would be a completely separate trip that then how do we take off of the regular route.
Well, do they currently bus from LMS to the high school, right?
Yeah.
Because it's part of a normal bus
That's
run.
normal
Right,
route.
so that when they went to Dara, they were able to
So
take
John,
that
you were
bus.
just
They
saying
didn't
that
have to go charge.
a trip to like an away game is less.
Right.
So
Per student. That's what I'm. Like, I look at boys soccer, 5 away games cost $1,500.
Let's call it an away game and we'd be done with it.
No, it's drive to Manchester Island and drive back.
Well, okay, and I didn't fully pay attention to the whole Dara Sawmill conversation. You guys may be more in tune to it, but at a high level, can you help me understand why we are no longer having soccer and lacrosse at Dara?
My understanding, and anyone correct me,
I can correct you.
please do.
I can even tell you why.
Then I'm gonna back off.
Go ahead,
because-
Brian.
Because softball wants that to be used as softball fields, even though it's a town field.
For rec, you talking about
But the games aren't,
Softball,
but games
like
are not
Blast
scheduled.
or LMS?
blast.
Blast. Okay, so it's rec who's doing that.
But there's currently no conflict between games though.
That's correct.
And I tell them to pound sand
Practices.
or pay for the
But
busing.
one of the things they're looking for down the road,
Unfortunately, you can't tell a pound stand. The rec commission runs and owns those fields, and they've decided that they want those fields pristine and taken care of for softball fields and not soccer fields.
All right, so
One of the things
how
that-
are the,
That's their call.
but
That's their call.
can't-
and they-
one of the things they're looking
Okay, go ahead,
forward to is having a permanent fence there, so they're figuring like, once there's a permanent fence, obviously you can't play soccer there.
so then I think we need to have a conversation at the town level, because I think the taxpayers might take offense to paying 12 grand to bus kids for a vanity project.
When you think of $12,000 on the school budget, you're talking less than a percent.
It's an unnecessary expense.
You're not. Yeah, I agree with you on that,
But-
John. But
but-
it's an unnecessary expense. Like
But
we have
also
a.
think about the think about the expense that's happening at Dara Pond and the field the care and feeding of that field, right? So more usage creates more wear, more work to keep it clean for the playing time.
But don't
now
we?
you're
The
gonna-
cost
you'll-
comes down somewhere.
Now you're gonna have more wear and tear at Sawmill.
But don't we allow we allow the school teams to go to Sawmill? Like, how is that any different?
And we allow
Agreed.
rec to come to Mass to play basketball.
So I think this is a conversation you guys need to have at a different level, because the
Have her
fact
raise
that
her
we're
hand.
asking the taxpayers to spend 12 grand
$12,000.
for, or whatever it is, because somebody doesn't want their fields played on, is not gonna sell well when we're trying to get either budget passed.
Yeah, I agree on this, John. Like, I understand wanting to keep the fields pristine. Ms. Grantham made a comment from the corner that, like, rec uses the LMS gym. Like, I don't know that there's a pass-through of dollars on that. So I think there needs to be some additional conversations between the town and the school on this. These are unnecessary costs on the taxpayers.
Well, I'm aware the rec commission's been talking with the athletic director at the school, and they've come up with this direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. I mean, in some perspective, we don't want to charge the school. We didn't expect to be incurring a large cost like that, because I think we all thought about it's an away game, right? $1,500, what's that? But at the end of the day, the rec commission made a decision as a commission. The school board, they're not under the guidance of the board of selectmen, they're a commission.
I
guess we can go through.
my kid plays travel basketball, and I'm gonna bite my own tongue for saying this, but I encourage the school to charge the rec back some additional dollars for having
cover the
them
cost.
use the school. Like,
be
that's gonna
12
wind up
grand.
coming out of my own pocket to do that.
So in fairness, the rec chair did reach out to the school board to invite somebody to their next meeting, so there is going to be further conversation about this.
In fact, good dialogue with the rep.
But
I feel like
regardless-
they're getting a bad rap, and I understand, and I feel for them right this situation. They have worked well with us. They're communicating with Tony. Tony's communicating with them. We're trying to be transparent with our increase here. And
No, and I hear you.
Hornet's nest we're stepping on here. But just let the record show, we like the rec department. We're willing to work with the rec department.
I think we all like.
And I hear you, but at the end of the day, rec commission's fields, they don't belong to the rec commission, they belong to the taxpayer of Litchfield. And we need to be cognizant of who's actually paying for it, and ask the taxpayer to pay more to not use their own field, I think is unfair, especially when we've all seen the tax bills. This is an area that is an easy reduction, and I really think that politically, you guys want your budget passed too. I would say do what you can to minimize the impact to the taxpayers. This is an easy win for both sides.
It's
So
good.
Terry, so I'd only say one thing, right? There's a cost to maintain those fields, to keep them maintained the way they are.
Do we charge Blast? Does Blast pay a fee to maintain those fields?
Does Blast pay?
If Blast if we're setting those fields up to be pretty much predominantly for travel softball, considering Blast being one of the top users, who pays for the maintenance of their use? The taxpayer, correct?
Well, I think.
No
I think
different
you're
than all.
overstating the softball part, right? It's for baseball and softball.
Who pays for the maintenance?
Okay, go ahead. Let him finish. Go ahead, John.
The town, the taxpayers pay for the maintenance. What I'm saying is if there's an increase in usage, there's an increase in maintenance. So whether it's the school is paying for a bus to take the sawmill to direct that usage over there where the field was designed for that, versus being done at Dara where the field is primarily defined to be
No, because
baseball
they do
field,
it for tournaments, so there's more than one fence.
there's a cost. So whether the
So
cost is
each
coming out of
diamond
school or
has a
town,
fence. Yeah, but
there's an
it's
increased
so-
cost somewhere.
Room for a field.
So,
No, 'cause
again,
they're out-
I would
whole field
open,
fence.
I would welcome the school to talk to the rec commission and see if they can change the position, but they unanimously voted it, and that's their decision.
Okay, that's, but there's still a deliberative, and there's still taxpayers who actually pay for it, so we'll see how this settles out come March.
Thank you. Anything else on LMS?
I just want to make note of one small thing. You see biannual kiln repair, we took that out of the middle school, left it in with the high school.
Sorry,
We're
which
gonna-
one?
The
Kiln
kiln
repair.
repair.
Yep.
We're shifting to biannual, repairs, actually inspections, for the kiln. We've left it in the high school for this year, took it out for the middle school, and you'll see the flip-flop next year. So those will start now going every other year. It's a small cost, but we're trying, again, everything that we can. We recognize that there was a problem with the middle school kiln, while not the funnest thing, we could then go use the high school one, so on and so forth.
So now that we're talking, now I'm fired up about rec. What's going on? Have we resolved the overhead, the ropes course?
Yeah, it's done.
That's done. We're done. It's no longer.
Nowhere in the budget, it's all out, everything's done.
Great.
All right, perfect.
Is it still there?
It's got taken down.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
I think it's all
Taken
done.
down last year.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a while.
Me neither.
I would, just to follow up on this, and I can add this question in the spreadsheet if it's easier. On the furniture replacement, can we get a breakdown of that cost? Like, things that, I wasn't there last week to see the prop, like, things that are actually broken, yes, we should replace those. Folding chairs for more compact storage, like, I feel like that's more of a nice to have versus it's physically broken and we cannot use it anymore. And so, like, I'd just love to see a breakdown of, we don't have to answer it tonight.
Combination of that, so that maybe just, to speak to the broken tables, we weren't there for the prop, but we had our custodian, all he was doing was holding the tables up to wash the floor, and one of the seats snapped in his hand, so he wasn't injured in the process, but there were 349 kids sitting in that same cafeteria the same day as he was closing that up, so the tables have reached end of life.
Yeah.
They're particle board and just a little linoleum over the top of them. He Frankensteined the table together with another broken table that we have in the back corner that's folded up. I'm happy to show anybody who wants to come over and see the tables that are arched and you can't set anything on them because things will roll right off the table. In regards to the replacement for the cap tables, and I'm trying to do them in a cycle, so it's not all at once because they are costly, and I do understand that. And in regards to the folding chairs, it's not just the more compact storage. Our chairs that we have are original to the building. They're the brown folding metal chairs that are dented. Feet are missing off of them. They're scratching up the floor. If we have a large parent night or an activity like the motion ceremony, we have to borrow chairs from CHS, and then Dave Ross and Joe Underwood and Chapel have had to track chairs all over town as we're going from graduation to the motion ceremony with the motion ceremony. So the idea for the replacement chairs isn't just a luxury like night item, it's actually to replace chairs that are not in good condition and because we don't have enough chairs. So we would continue to use some of the brown chairs that are not dented, broken, or filthy on them. But having additional chairs that allow us not to have to use the people resources as well to truck chairs all over that we
Okay, so just as a follow-up, can we get a breakdown of the cost of the tables, the cost of the chairs? I'd also like the breakdown of the, we've got a great breakdown on the transportation. I didn't see a breakdown of the supplies and uniforms in the folder. If it's there, I must have missed it. Can we get a breakdown of that too, like what
I know
that
there's
cost
a
is?
I just added the uniform.
Oh, you just
one.
added it,
Sorry,
okay.
but I thought that was in there.
Tables and broken tables were the 8,087 compared to the folding chairs were the 1,942. That's on the budget itself
That's on the budget
under
itself. Thank you,
737.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so no need for that. Thank you.
I think that's why Dan was willing to come tonight, because he has the most boring of all the. We're gonna go over to that.
I was also here.
Someone has to control the phone.
The Griffin budget's up $954. There's minor increases and decreases throughout their budget as different needs come and go for their building. I think the biggest increase they have is about $1,600 as they continue their furniture replacement. I think you're doing desks and chairs in third grade, right?
We're down to second grade.
Down to second grade, we shift to the second grade. Where we do one classroom a year for those, so.
Questions on GMS?
For GMS, is there a log you guys keep, may say over the past, I'll say 10 years as an example, for major renovations done to GMS, and then I'll say for the next 5 years on anticipated renovations needed at GMS that we could get our hands on and take a look at?
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with the second part of it first. So, I don't know if it's in there, but if you go to the new website, the Griffin Memorial School Project.com, you will find the on-site insight reports, which it is for all three schools. But if you go to the GMS report, it will show you a 20-year breakdown of stuff happening in Griffin, but you can focus in on the immediate stuff in the first kind of 5 years. So that would be a great resource if you're looking for the future on what expected cost there's gonna be associated with GMS. And that's true for all the schools if you're interested, and, that's been kind of the basis of that CIP plan that we've been putting together. We haven't done a CIP for GMS specifically, yes, because of the up in the air of, obviously, if we're gonna do a major project there, bulk of that is gonna get taken care of in that project, so we would need to adjust that plan. In the past, I'll let you speak to that. I think you're trying to put together as much as you can about a history as we go through the
Exactly, yeah.
project proposal about how much we spent on this thing, that thing, and everything, kind of fixing stuff, so.
It'd be good for the taxpayers to understand what they've spent
Yeah.
over the past 10 years as a Band-Aid. And then in the next 5 years as Band-Aids, if something is gonna get passed in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep in mind too, that there's a lot of Band-Aids that didn't put on to save money in anticipation of maybe there's gonna be a school coming,
Yeah.
that they probably should have spent money on, which is now in the long run gonna cost more money
Yeah.
once you get
What-
caught
what
up.
was
At least hard dollars will have that log and say, listen, this is what you spent in the past 10, it's gone. I mean, essentially, if it's something gets built, you've used it as a rental, you know?
What was that website again?
GriffinMemorialSchoolProject.com.
I didn't. Did you get that URL to work?
I did, yeah.
No, maybe I typed it wrong. Maybe I can't spell.
Memorial School.
Yeah, we can
You
go
go
back.
to your weekend update from the superintendent, there's a link in there.
I thought you were going to say Mr. Mitchell's newsletter. And that,
Mr. Mitchell's newsletter too.
It's on the school website.
It's on the school website. We have a button that takes you directly to it.
Yes, I was looking at the
Something
other day.
concise would be nice, just to be able to like point people to say, hey, listen, this is the money that
Yeah.
we're
We-
spending on maintenance and major repairs and
Yeah, we started putting things together the last couple of years, but we'll definitely, get some more detail on that for 10 years back.
Thank you. Other questions for GMS this evening?
I can give you off the top of my head last 5 years.
Ken, you're up.
Major ones?
Last 5 years?
Yeah, because they usually involve late night phone calls.
emergency response.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, good.
So you talk, think about this though too. You talk about expenses that, maybe we've incurred over the last 10 years. Add all those portables to it.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. That should be, I mean, that's
If it was part of your building, then you wouldn't be buying the portables and renting them.
renting them and
Except we bought them using impact fees.
one needed a new HVAC system, I heard
Exactly.
recently. I mean, it's,
Yep. Which we should have charged for. So question, on replacing carpet, should we, then this is in the weeds, but should you be in carpet or should you be doing vinyl tile?
These are the rugs. They're-
All the rugs.
It's those little reading rugs, right?
Yeah.
All right, curriculum instruction.
Yep. The net increase, we talked about this last night, different components of it, comparing to when we did the math thing, so it's easier to look at this with the net increase in the folder of about $20,000. There's a $1,000 supply, some other $1,000 related expenses there, but the bulk of it is software. I'm not saying this is the entire reason for this increase, but about half of it is because we shifted software that were split up into the school. You'll see this in both places, here in the curriculum line, and then when we get to the tech. So software that was instructional based, rather than splitting it up between the 3 schools, we shifted it all under the district account here. That is not the entire increase, but if you go into computer instruction later on in your budget, you'll see savings in software for the schools. It's about half of that amount. And that's the most significant increase that we have for curriculum and instruction. From when we purchased the math textbooks and that whole textbook series into 2025, like if you look at the 2025 budget, you'll see a huge increase in textbooks and softwares. We're trying to get away from those style of purchases and using that much resources for textbooks and making it more of a combination of digital resources with kind of the hand-printed resources and stuff like that.
And what is this Kikori thing?
Kokori, we use it primarily at the middle school. Do you use it, Dan, too?
Middle school and elementary.
Yeah.
What is it?
Social emotional learning, curriculum. Program.
So is that like a class or is it like?
They use it in elementary, they'll use it in just their, to be kind, like using that social emotional, how to be a good person, good, responsible kid.
It's used in every class. Is it used in every class?
They use it,
Yeah.
yeah, and then they use it at the middle school in their kind of advisory.
Need software for this?
It's recommended to get something to follow, so everyone does it. I've been in schools where advisory didn't have curriculum, it quickly falls off the rails, so it's nice.
No,
to
I know,
have
my
something
advisory,
to
they
fall
play
back on.
Foursquare.
how do you all gauge if it gets used?
You can,
I have an admin dashboard.
That'd be interesting to see.
Number of use, number of teachers, number of clicks.
Raise your hand, Jen.
I think we could probably provide that for you. Am I overstepping? Can we provide that?
What?
Like usage data and statistics was the ask, I think. Other questions on curriculum and instruction this evening?
I know she was very excited about the $1,000 in Post-its and markers and stuff like that, but is the $1,000, is 500 enough? Do we need it?
I mean, I think we discuss those things, right? Like, I ask for all our heads, all our principals to tell me what you need, right?
Yeah.
I think they're smart individuals and professionals who recognize that where their budget starts is not where their budget's gonna end up, right? So I think they would love for their budget to be there, and I'm not saying they over budget, right?
Yeah,
But like, I think they recognize that like if different sacrifices have to happen as we go through the process, they understand, so.
And what is this software for book creator? Like, what happened to like drawing and coloring and paper?
Yeah, what book?
Oh, sorry, what was the?
Software for book
What is
creator.
book creator?
Book Creator is something we use at the middle school for writing. It's a program that was encouraged by Karen Dedan and Amy Provenzel, our library media specialists, and students are using it both in collaboration with writing books to send down to DMS, as well as just a new way for writing.
Sarah.
Dan.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead, Sarah.
It's nicer when they're right in the room.
Sarah, go ahead.
She probably thought she was muted, and then she.
Sarah,
Yeah.
you're muted.
Just come off.
Okay.
So one thing I would ask,
Get a
if
follow-up
it's for
on that.
LMS, it lists all three schools.
Sarah.
So.
Hopefully you get the answer.
Creator is used from, it's a K-12. Oh my gosh.
We'll provide it in writing.
Yeah, I think she's cutting in. She's cutting in and out. So let's.
Put it on
Yeah,
the spreadsheet.
we can
Put it
get.
on the spreadsheet.
We'll get a follow up to
Put it on
that.
the spreadsheet, they're gonna put it on the spreadsheet.
I think a clarifying question to that is, I think I heard Dr. Taylor say it was for LMS, but it does say in the.
It's at GMS, it's used in GMS.
Okay. Additional questions for curriculum instruction? And, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, IT. So the net increase when you factor everything in, there was a bigger increase when you focus just there on the hardware and the software. The net increase for stuff you see for technology is about $78,000. A huge bulk of that is software. There's a question last night about making the comparison between last year's budget and this year's budget. Brendan's working on that. He just didn't finish it today. We will include it in the spreadsheet.
I added
folder.
that to the spreadsheet today.
Once
Yeah.
once we have that information. He went through some of the things that he was looking to add to better support the network, to make it more secure when it comes to the software. That will be included in that list he provides. Equipment replacement, the line is up $17,500. The increases though, because we would like to purchase some virtual servers hardware related to this. This is a little out of my depth, so I'm trying to talk through this correctly. Which is $39,000. So once we get those, that line would in theory go down, but we need to make an initial purchase for them, and we're going to get 3 of them. I'm assuming 3 is one for each building. It'd be $39,000.
I'd be interested in knowing why. The reason rationale behind it.
I think there's great fear, not just here, literally everywhere, about the security of all of our information. We've seen multiple school districts be attacked by cyber attacks.
So putting it on a virtual system seems
this
like
is where
a good
I'm a little out
idea.
of my depth, and please add the
Because usually we
questions to
close the
spreadsheet.
networks and detach them from to prevent.
All right,
Yes,
perfect.
Brendan,
He's gonna come in and save me.
Brendan, go ahead, please.
All right, good evening, everyone. So what those virtual servers do is they host many other servers on our environment. So instead of technically buying 18 to 20 physical servers where there is no real estate in any of our closets, power consumption, additional pieces of equipment and additional points of failure, those 3 servers are redundant
Go ahead, Derek.
See, what's running on those today?
Brendan?
Yeah,
What's running on them right now? Those servers?
all of our domain controllers, so authentication, to our domain and our networks, print servers, file servers, HVAC, door access, a lot of our, very important infrastructure, reside on.
So we're putting all this important stuff on a virtual server. I don't know,
It's
skips?
local, it's in our environment. It's not like virtual in the cloud.
Virtual servers are very common.
School K to 12, who are designing infrastructure, this is a typical design that is in place.
Typical or not, I have a hard time putting together virtual and more secure, when secure labs are typically not connected to a network. So to me, I have a hard time reconciling the two.
The most secure thing is not connected to the network, and it's locked in a closet and no one can access it. So there's patching that goes along with that, secure access. Redundancy is part of security, right? So when we have a failure, we're still allowed to operate and do business, which is why these servers can be shut down and patched, and the other servers we made like primary to be able to host these other servers without them going offline.
And the life cycle of these?
About 4 to 5 years.
So would we not be, from a budgetary stance, better off just doing one and then another, and then no, you do them all together? We can't spread out the hit?
When you build virtual servers, you have to have like hardware typically.
Because then the amount of servers that it hosts, there's no redundancies, there's no way to update. So
Right, but if they're in different buildings,
So
support our environment that we have right now.
if we could, and Brendan, I of everything that we've talked about tonight, I don't know as much as Derek or John in this area, but I know enough to be dangerous. Like I do view this as a good investment. Like, and when I think about the systems and applications of everything you just said that is critical to the school district, I think what would be good for us to see and to also communicate, transparently to the public, what would the cost be if we didn't do this? So if we didn't do this, like what are we talking about? Maintenance on those existing servers, labor, patchwork, replacement of physical hardware if you had to do that because they're end of life. Like I think to see a compare and contrast of that, I think helps better justify the cost here.
So,
And
I guess we kind of are at end of life. So there isn't like, normally when you get a server or a piece of equipment, you have a support plan with it. Eventually, the support plan ends, right? And you can extend it, but then it's gonna get to a certain point where HP or Dell or, vendor X is gonna say, you need to buy something new.
Yeah.
We don't have those parts anymore. We don't have those available. So now we're looking at, eBay and other areas where we might try to get this piece of part, but we don't know if it was tamper-proof. We don't know that it was, renewed, refurbished,
Yeah.
in specs with the manufacturer. So that's not an appropriate or a secure way to try to salvage parts on like
I agree.
end of life, end of support.
No, I agree. And I think like if we can just get as a follow-up kind of a compare and contrast on that. Like if this didn't go through, if this was removed from your budget, what would your cost and risk be with existing infrastructure?
And John, I would ask you also to figure out what the cost would be if it went down.
Hold on, John.
People aren't connecting to the internet. It's hard for me to give a financial thing. It's like people aren't authenticating, they're not printing. You don't have
Right.
access to maintain the HVAC servers, door access systems, especially anything that it crashes where it's not like support is gonna be able to turn around and get us a part same day to repair. They're gonna say, we're sorry, you should have already upgraded this equipment and you're on your own for that. So now, again, we're spending resources to try to source a part that we're not even guaranteed is gonna work or fix our issue.
Okay, thank you. John, what were you gonna say?
No, all I was gonna say is that you have to think about the cost of being down also. It's not just about the cost of replacement of the servers. When a server reaches the end of its life cycle, say it's 4 to 5 years, and the manufacturer is no longer supporting the firmware or BIOS,
Yep.
that exposes that server to a security risk. That's the security conversation. If they can't patch it or get it repaired, what is the impact to the school system if the servers are down for
Right.
3 to 4 to 5 days?
No, I get that.
Right?
I-
That's the
yeah.
cost, right? So $39,000 is not a lot of money. You think that's about $13,000 a server. That's probably going to be a 2-sprocket, large memory. That's going to work a lot of workloads. The town does the exact same thing for the exact same reason. We buy them in groups. We buy clusters. Typically, it's 3 for us, and it sounds like it's 3 for them too. And keeping them all the same makes it easier when we virtualize those workloads to transition them back and forth and do those things.
Yep.
So
Thank
the
you.
question isn't the cost of per place. The cost is what happens if it goes down.
Right.
Those
Thank you.
books. So, question for you though, John. When we were talking about your purchase of laptops, do you remember what we agreed on?
More than that.
Laptop?
Yeah, we were replacing we were replacing laptops for the police, and I want to say we came down.
$1,000 a laptop.
Yeah, that's
$1,000
cute.
a machine.
That's cute. I don't think that's what we agreed on.
No, we
So-
cut it. We cut the budget.
It was
Wait,
1,400. I think we got it down to 1,000.
We got it down
Sounds
to
to 1,000.
Yeah, we cut it.
I thought I thought we were like, wow, my computer is like. Well,
We had a spirited conversation around that.
well, I would contend that the staff laptop replacements, if we're paying $900 for a laptop especially depending on what we're doing, I know what I use mine for. I don't need a $900 laptop, so I would take a look at seeing.
Which line item are you looking at?
It's 2840 tech services, right below battery backup replacements. 25 laptops at $900. So I would just take a look at that and see, like, do we really need $900 laptops? Those seem. Let's just say I got my kid a gaming laptop for that much, and I don't really think we need that for.
Brendan, what's the specs on a laptop, and is there like a warranty with those?
For that thing, I think very close to that. Mine, there was a purchase done before I came on board. 16 gigs of RAM, I think an i5. It might have been a 250 or a 512 SSD drive. So, like, $900. I don't think you're gonna be playing a lot of great games on a $900 laptop. Like, and when I try to price and I look at things, I try to get a type of business class laptop. So it's gonna be things that drivers are readily accessible, so we can update and patch if needed, versus a cheaper home consumer laptop that you might get on Best Buy or something like that. Especially with the tools and the usage that teachers are doing, we need USB-A and USB-C ports for docking stations and other peripherals and stuff like that. Those aren't gonna be, we need those kind of features. We don't wanna get a laptop that we're replacing at a cheaper price point to be like, hey, we fit into this, and then the teacher says, well, how do I connect to my classroom technology?
I would follow it. Yes, let me ask you.
Yeah, I'm still struggling with the $900 because I'm in the market for a laptop, and I can tell you an i5 with the what you spec'd out is significantly less than $900.
You're buying like a consumer grade though.
Believe me, I go to tech school. Everything my
I
computer
think
can
We
handle.
spent $900 on our general staff laptops.
A follow up to that is 25 is the replacement cycle, I assume, right? Like that's the continual cycle, right? I think we talk about this every year. Are those 25 that are coming off cycle? Like are they falling apart? Are they out of warranty?
I can tell you, I'm working on developing a technology plan as there hasn't been one in the last couple of years. I'd say probably 50% of laptops that I've looked at, there's big chunks taken out of the corner of the monitors, keyboards are malfunctioning, I'm getting reports from people, and they're old models that haven't been.
Is your staff model?
There's probably a greater need, but I'm working on getting an inventory too, so I can better plan how I'm gonna cycle and, identify those biggest need users to replace. But I think 25 is a pretty accurate number for, and
Okay. Thank you.
for getting through each year.
Thank you.
George, what are we doing
I
now?
know more.
Yep,
Do
go
you-
ahead, Doc.
yeah, Just the Chromebooks, you know, I know when you go to fifth grade, you get issued a Chromebook.
Yep.
And then as a freshman, you get issued a Chromebook again. And, those are new for eighth graders to freshmen. Is it feasible, if the Chromebook is in good shape, and I know a lot get insured, why couldn't you carry the Chromebook from fifth grade through high school? Why are you getting a new Chromebook freshman year if you're issued one in fifth grade? At 4 years old,
The junk.
are they junk?
So initially, when Chromebooks came out, I think Google had a 4 or 5 year update that they guaranteed updated Chrome OS. Now, what happened during COVID, and a little before, I think it was a little before COVID or it was during COVID, they had changed their design to a 10-year. So any hardware device would have to opt into like extended life for 10 years. Now, in K to 12, if you were in a very dire situation, it's like, yeah, you could probably get 5 or 6, but it's like they're used by students who are now just learning how to use technology and, you know, working out their digital citizenship and other things like that. So it just, you see a lot of failure. They're small, they're cheap devices, right? So even to say 10 years, it's like, there's no way that the hardware is really going to. And then you have other wireless advances and other things that it's like, if we're upgrading our infrastructure to Wi-Fi 6 and whatever, Wi-Fi 7 coming out, it's like, if we're on 10-year-old devices, they're never going to be able to keep up with those speeds and take advantage of like an equitable thing, you know, education experience when other students might be getting a newer one, so they have faster access, you know, a much better experience digitally than devices that we're holding on forever just to save a couple bucks.
That's more than a couple bucks.
It's not a couple bucks, it's $60,000.
Sorry, you're right, not a couple bucks, but the life cycle, if I'm looking to build a 5-year life cycle, you know, to have Chromebooks for 10 years, I don't think there's anything in our infrastructure that would even guarantee for 10 years.
Well, it wouldn't be 10, it would be 8, not that that's splitting hairs, but if we could get an extended warranty on it, rather than 300 for 400 or 500, and you're saving yourself $100, $150 a unit each time, is that feasible, is all I'm asking really, because I know they all don't get destroyed. My 2 kids went through and they took very good care of theirs, you know, so just a question. I mean, I didn't know if it was.
Other
And
questions?
it's not like, do the fifth graders even, when do they start taking them home?
We've been phasing it out. John, jump in. I think they're only 8th grade takes it home.
Yeah, my 7th grader
through
does not
7th
take it
grade.
home.
So
So then what you do is you take the 8th grade ones and you kick them down to 5th grade.
5th grade,
And then get the when they get the new 5th grade ones, they become the 8th grade ones.
they were in a 4-year cycle.
Then you have a 4-year cycle.
Now we do. Dan,
Choose up
jump
here.
in. You have a classroom set of Chromebooks at the elementary.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are the leftovers. Like, you know, you just don't see purchasing for Chromebooks at GMS here, right? So we do take old Chromebooks and they end up in GMS because they're the youngest kids that don't need the same capacity and everything like that. So we're not budgeting for replacements for those Chromebooks at GMS in the event of just using other Chromebooks to kind of, displace Chromebooks to kind of fill in those gaps.
Misfits.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for IT this evening? I think we've captured the other questions in the document. We've got 2 other questions around technology that are in the document there, so we'll take those as follow-ups. All right, let's move to student services.
We have a big decrease to student services special ed. You'll see one increase. It's a software for an ABA curriculum for our intensive needs program down at GMS. Well, it's an $8,000 purchase. Our hope is by putting and strengthening the curriculum for that program, it actually helps long-term and could potentially prevent us from having to move kids out of district, or at least delaying that out of district placement down the road.
That was the argument for kindergarten. So
Our
it's,
district's down, so something's working. So GMS software that's going to our intensive needs program. A lot of decreases in special ed this year, and it's just simply related to service we're providing. Some expensive kiddos are coming off the books for one reason or the other, or kids have been discharged from special ed for one reason or the other, And between professional services, out of district, and transportation, we're dealing with a lot of decreases, so.
Questions on student services? I know
So we're contracting para services for 2 paras at 70 grand a piece for a para?
They are extremely expensive.
Well, not based on the rest of your, like, so is it a special ed para is different than the regular paras that get like 20,000?
If we have to go out and contract, so there are students that, like, it's an absolute non-negotiable that they have
Right.
to have a para, right? And if we don't have, we, the district, cannot provide that para because we literally don't have a person, and we have to go out and contract someone to fill that role. And those contracted paras are massively expensive.
That seems like something that should be looked at, because that seems like price gouging. Let Mr. Legislator. Because when you can charge, like, when you carry it for 20 grand a piece, if that, and I'm paying 70 grand, that's highway, that's like unethical at that point.
And our preference is always to have our own person.
Well, I would hope so at
I mean, not just
70
from the
grand
fin-
versus 20.
It's not just from the financial, and this is nothing against our contracted service providers, but there's just a different level if it's your own employee
Oh, yeah.
who's invested in it. So.
No, absolutely. I've totally seen that. I just, when I see that we're paying 70 grand a piece for 2 paras, it makes me, because that's insane.
I know I asked this last night, but just, to repeat for the record. So our reserve fund for special ed sits at a little over $300,000. Is that right, Julie?
$370,000.
$370,000. Okay. So that accounts for, because that was my concern in looking at this last night was, great. I love the decrease. Hats off to Sarah, and I think she gave the kudos to her executive assistant on the tight budgeting. I do just want to make sure that, because this is the most unknown probably portion of the budget, that if we have a move-in, that we have the dollars to support that.
You have about 1.5 most significant, like a most significant move-in is going to cost you upwards above $200,000, right? So you have about 1.5 move-ins in your reserve right now, which is solid. Like, that's good. Like, if you had a move-in and everything else went as you expected to, you could access that reserve fund and still have a little bit left over for something, right?
But not all move-ins are that expensive.
Not all that move-ins are,
Yeah.
but even in my short time here, we've had move-ins that have cost us that much money, right? And I think, that is the hugest volatility for school districts right now, is out-of-district tuition students who move into your district. It can be $1 million swings for some districts, particularly bigger districts. I mean, you can go read about it in MUR, Union Leader, Concord Monitor, wherever you want, of school districts that are in crisis because their out-of-district spiked because of one reason or another. So I think we're in a good position right now. Sarah's done an excellent job of managing the budgeting for that during her 1.5 years here. I think our special ed providers, our teachers, our paraprofessionals, support people in the schools are doing a great job of making sure that's a last option for us by providing good support to our students. And we've seen the line come down, and hopefully that can continue to come down because that is such a large driver for special ed budgets.
Is there, cause it seems like it's always in the budget. Is there a, I don't know, for the replacement of FM systems, it seems like they're always in there that we're replacing them.
We do. They break. Yeah.
They're expensive.
I mean, they are expensive and they're used every day, like.
Right.
Yeah, you
So each FM system basically has 3 or 4 components to that, and unfortunately the way they're designed is, first off they kind of age out too, but we've found too that if any one of the components goes, we can reach out to the company, but even the replacement repair cost makes it so that you basically end up having to replace the thing. So the FM systems you're talking about, you have the speaker tower and then you have the FM transmitter. But the FM transmitter is like, if it's a 4-year-old system, the FM transmitter is costing you a couple $100 just to replace, and then at the end of the year, just the communication with the Bluetooth.
So is it more or less a cycle that's how we're replacing them?
We've been looking at GMS, so right now, so they basically all came in about the year before I got here, so now we're at, so all of our FM systems are about 7 years 7+ years old. So we're realizing that. So surprise, next year you're going to start seeing a systematic, because hopefully my roads will be done. So you start seeing systematic replacement of FM systems.
It looks like there's one per school this year, right?
We started that as well at,
Yeah.
at LMS, where we are adding those based on needs we have with the students, both in special ed and in 504s, that require the FM systems, and it's a good practice for students with ADHD. So we have started a systematic as part of what's in our budget, to make sure instead of having to move them around and break them and lose parts and pieces, that they're stable in the classrooms that they're in. And I believe this is year 3, fiscal year 3 of 4 to complete our set at the middle school.
Any other questions for student services this evening? Okay, dining services.
So this is a separate fund, but we still update you on dining services. So it's not Fund 10, it's Fund 21. But there's a net decrease to operating budget for dining services of about $2,000. This does not include personnel. Personnel's down the road. About $2,000. So we're going to do some equipment replacement. All the pin pads need to be replaced at each of the schools. They're just pretty worn out and broken. We've gotten to the end of the road with them. We don't have as much as we should be using right now. So we're trying to replace them all at each of the schools. Part of this is also getting a credit card machine at CHS, because our hope is to start, sorry parents, is allowing kids to use credit cards at the high school to purchase food.
Make a killing.
We will. We
I
did
know
that.
this because we did it, and we're making a killing.
Well, we've done it other places I've been to, and I apologize in advance to parents.
Well, I mean, at the school level, the district level, right, you have to make decisions. Like,
Yeah.
the decision of our director is no caffeinated products. I mean, that was just a decision that was made. So how the school board, believe me, you still get a lot of non-caffeinated products that the kids will eat. So, I mean, it is a decision that has to be made and considered. So, yeah, you and the parents, watch out, but you can also choose healthier options too, so.
So our software cost for Link, I should capitalize that. My mistake. It's all capital letters, but Link is up a little bit. Our fee associated with the software we use. We use it outside of food service as well. It collects other fees for us, but it shows up in our food service account. And then dues and fees for the New Hampshire Buying Group, which is where we buy stuff in bulk with other schools. That fee is up, or we're putting it in the budget so we can start budgeting for it appropriately. So it's in there. Decreases, CHS is going to see supplies based on decreases based on actuals. Supplies is down a little bit. Food is down a good amount because of the actuals of how much it costs to provide the food up at CHS. The other schools are a little up or neutral when it turns to their food costs. And the vending machine at CHS is paid off, so you no longer see a cost associated with that in the budget in CHS.
Questions on dining services?
What was I just looking
Can
at?
I speak to a couple things that were brought up earlier, just to answer some questions?
Sure.
So somebody had asked about when the last time ended in black. I can tell you, just from my experience being here, that was the year we had free meals for everybody. And in regards to the staffing, and again, Carrie, I'm 100% on board with you as well. It should be a self-funded program, but at its core, the way it is right now, it's backwards. And the reimbursement rates we get from
No, cause it's like, you still have to pay them.
I'm just saying, here's the other thing that I run up against all the time. If we take away an employee from each school, or we cut, a position, or we do whatever, that means we have to offer less options to our students, which means we don't sell as much and we make less money, and then I am, I'm on the hook for it either way. I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, and my goal this year is to do everything I can to close that deficit while still running a really good program.
What do the full-time leads do in the summer?
They're not working, they're school year. So employees are either school year or they're.
Oh, so it's just like
full
teaching, I
year.
guess, but they still get
Yeah.
benefits. What are they doing 40 hours a week during the school year then?
They're not working, I don't think they will. How many hours is a lead, Lauren?
It is, I think it's 7.25 a day. I think it's
Yeah,
36
that's what teachers.
something a week.
Do you need them that much?
36.
I know you're doing breakfast, you have to be there at probably 6:37.
I mean, you gotta be there at the beginning for breakfast and to prep your food for lunches and then the cleanup afterwards. So I think when you factor it in, right, I don't know the
Cook, clean,
exact
cook,
hours,
clean.
but let's say like 6 o'clock is when they're getting in the morning to open up
Yeah,
and start
they get there
prepping
early
that.
breakfast.
You're gonna be lunch break in the middle. You're gonna be out by 2 before the school day ends. So 1:30, 1:45.
Any other questions on dining services this evening?
$500 in travel. That's over 70 miles, or 700 miles. It's only 3 miles from GMS to CHS, so where's all the mileage going?
She's constantly going back and forth to the schools.
So it's multiple
And going
times
to
a
the
day,
bank
probably.
and, yeah, there's,
Anything else on dining? All right, buildings and grounds.
Alright, I'm tagging out.
all right, so buildings and grounds, we do see a net increase of $88,000. Certainly understand that is a significant increase. Some of the big drivers for that was our property and liability insurance had a 19.8% increase, which is a lot, obviously. We did have a CAP program that we had qualified for through Primex, and that is going away at the end of 2026. So we will see that 19% increase next year, but we are working on getting certification for another program that will give us a 2.5% discount on both property and liability and our workers' compensation. So I budgeted with that decrease of the 2.5% on both of those. Overall increase on repair and maintenance, looking at actuals and also just looking at the beginning of this school year, we've had quite a lot of repairs and maintenance that have been big ticket items, HVAC units, lots of, even actually we had 2 HVAC units that we had to replace over on one of the portables at GMS, and even just the labor for that was quite expensive. So costs are going up and we have to budget accordingly. The other thing is we've been working on a district-wide capital improvement plan based on the on-site insight reports. And so with that, we have taken out the items that would be year one, which will be 2027. And we've identified what we're going to be using budgeted funds versus potential end-of-year funds or impact fees. So we did include some of the items that we had earmarked using budgeted funds. The other thing I wanted to mention is we do have, we've realigned some of the functions and accounts to reflect like costs being bulked together, like all of our HVAC costs were kind of spread out between different functions, and we wanted to streamline that, so we're keeping all those costs together. The same thing we're doing with inspections and inspection repairs, so that we can see the actuals together. And then we also, last year, we had purchased a floor stripping machine, which doesn't use any chemicals, and it also uses a lot less labor hours, as well as other supplies that go with it. So we are looking to have a new machine at each of the buildings over the 3-year cycle, so this would be year 2 of that. Other increases, our waste management increase was another pretty big spike. We were able to negotiate down to 8%. It was initially much higher than that, over 20%. HVAC costs, preventative maintenance, and repairs have both gone up across the board. We're seeing increases in those costs. We also had a new fee from Hudson Fire Department. That's where our fire alarm monitoring. They're basically having a fee. It's like a one-time setup fee that'll be in 2026, and then after that, it will just be an annual fee. So it's $400 per each school. So that's been included. Our snow plowing contract is year 3 of 3, and we did see an increase in year 2. And it's steady from year 2, but again, because of the default budget, that increase was not included. So it is included this year to reflect the actual cost of the contract. And the other thing was we had quite a bit of regular fees that we were paying for preventative maintenance or any kind of reoccurring fees that we were paying out of the budget but weren't necessarily reflected. Now we put them into the budget so that you can see that. So that has shifted some things. It does reflect, though, our actual spending.
Before we take questions, I know you said you wanted to speak to Mr. Burke's question from last evening about the paint.
Yes. So I started looking at the labor costs, and I do need a little more time because I did have a couple of questions, and I just want to clarify to make sure I'm getting you the right numbers. But we have been, I've been pricing out the labor costs for that, and I'm also going to pull the supply costs to make sure that we have that accurate. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to have that for you
No,
tonight,
that's
but I
fine.
definitely will by the next budget session.
Thank
Following
you.
up on that though, I thought he had said all the paint was included in the cost, and I
He
just thought it was
said
$2,400 below
I
that.
thought he said
10,
10
I heard him say
gallons.
10.
$3,000.
10 5-gallon.
And 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
we
not
just-
enough.
It's like a $3,000 allotment that we get each year.
And it's included in that 17K cost. Yeah.
Well, there's a line item for $2,400 more in paint, right below it.
Is that, that's probably, let me see which one we're looking
I think he said there was still additional paint
He did.
beyond
He did say that.
what they get.
Is that just for the main field and the track field? Or does it do baseball fields and stuff too?
He does baseball fields as well, but
Baseball,
those that,
softball, and then they would
Does all.
also
yeah,
do
the
it.
baseball,
Dare
softball,
too,
we
right?
don't use the robot for
Yeah.
those,
Yeah, I'll bring it over to Dara.
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, the town's interested.
For some bus fees?
$12,000 worth of painting?
Harder.
Just kidding, John. Any other questions for buildings and ground this evening?
Just one on the cost, the raise in insurance, the property and liability. Did they give you a reason for that?
The main reason is the cap going away, because we were capped at 9%. And now because of insurance costs are going up, claims are going up, they have told us that cap is going away and we're going to just see the actual increase there, which is quite significant, but that's across the board in insurance, whether it's health insurance, property and liability, that is the reality that unfortunately.
Is that Primex? Is that Primex?
Yes.
And is that shopped around at all, or like it's?
There's really not
really
other
not.
options for.
It's what I-
You shouldn't be paying for other people's claims, right? It should be predicated off of your loss, not other people's losses.
That plays into it, but of course, reinsurance.
That's all
fees
insurance
and all
companies.
that.
Well, what I'm getting at too is are they looking at GMS or maybe some of our structures and saying, geez, the underwriter comes out and looks at it and says, I'm insuring that,
They do an assessment every 5 years, so.
you know?
They don't have to do an assessment. They've already looked at, whoop, bad.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They wait for the thing to fall down and,
The HVAC repairs and maintenance at LMS,
Mm-hmm.
is that all electric now? Solar driven?
It is.
So what are those repairs then? Is there even an HVAC system there?
There
is.
Yeah.
It's all brand new.
That was my next question.
I think
What are we
actually-
repairing?
I believe that Dave did speak to that last evening, that most of the, any HVAC would be for GMS and CHS.
He did say that, yeah.
I think it's in the LMS line though, isn't it?
We
wrong.
do have,
Yeah, under LMS, page
mean,
433, there's 5,000 for HVAC repairs and maintenance.
so we do still have, is Dave on there? Is he able to speak to that?
It's a lot of filters.
Dave, the question is in regards to HVAC repairs as listed at the LMS line.
Maintenance.
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 There are some unforeseen repairs, they are off warranty at this time. And there are some unforeseen costs, I mean, if a motor runs out or something needs to be replaced, that's what that money is for.
Are those not covered under warranty?
So warranty ended.
Oh, he did say that. Got it. Sorry, I missed that.
How long's it been? 3 years?
And yet it's still not finished.
Has it been 3
Sorry
years?
for opening that can.
Yeah.
Got started.
If only somebody asked about this on television.
Solar's not our project. Just want to remind everyone. Before us.
Any additional questions on buildings and grounds this evening?
It's protecting the roof.
Sure.
I want to pause, do a gut check. It's 9:03. We have business office, school board SAU, human resources, personnel, which is the big one. And then we also have some time allocated for a tax rate conversation. We good to power through, hopefully out of here within 30 to 40 minutes and not meet
30.
next week? Good.
Sold on
Do you
30.
really think you're gonna finish that
Sold on
conversation in
30.
30 minutes?
Yeah.
Heidi had us out of here at 8 o'clock yesterday.
Yeah, she did.
Just saying.
There's a lot less questions last night, to be clear.
It's because Kerry wasn't there last
We
night.
good with that?
True.
All right, school board, SAU. Oh, sorry, I skipped business office and transportation.
So business office, we did see an increase this year. A big part of that is there's an actuarial report that we have to have completed every other year per our financial audit. So it's about 4,300, I believe. I'm not looking at it at the moment. But that is a cost that we see every other year. So that is a significant increase. We also are anticipating, based on previous increases, that our accounting software will increase by 8% as well. And as well as our audit. Our audit, we are anticipating the increase as we have in previous years. I did increase some of the conference and dues lines, professional dues. Mainly there are a lot of professional development events that are very important for business administrators to go to, and I'll continue to do that. So we've used money in the budget and kind of moved things around from different lines, but I just want it accurately reflected in my budget lines. And then we also had just some small, we had emergency management, which initially was under mine, but that's actually buildings and grounds. There were just some small, that's okay. There was just some small amounts there that we moved over to emergency management. And then transportation, of course, is a much larger increase. Contractual increase for our regular ed transportation is 61,000 this year. And that's year 3 of a 5-year contract. I did include the contract in the shared drive if anyone wanted to see the breakdown of that.
That's first student. Okay. Yep. Thank you. Questions on transportation or business office?
So under one of them, there's a Power School Messenger.
Yeah.
I'm new to Power School because it sucks. But other than that, no, it's awful. Like I don't have all the functionality I used to have.
What you used to have?
We used to have Focus, and Focus was amazing because it would tell me when a kid was out for a lab.
Yeah.
Power School, I have not figured out how it will tell me if a kid was out without having to do multiple searches that I don't have time for. So I hate it with a burning passion. But Power School Messenger, like what is that for? Like interdepartment conversation? Oh, right.
It's like our out messaging to the community.
Okay.
So like we send out weekly messages through it, and we can do daily messages if we so choose.
Emergency
Weather alerts,
notification.
like all that type of stuff.
All right. Okay.
Other questions on business or the transportation?
You really should get on my mailing list, Carrie. You're missing all this great school messengers I send every week.
So I tell my students, and this is what I tell them. I do this at the start of the season. I have currently 44,200 unread messages and 9,700 unread Google messages. You would simply add to my count.
Those red dots make me twitch a little.
I would have more, except my son thought he was doing me a favor and marked everything red when I was at 99,000 plus. So now it'll take a little while to refresh.
From the woman talking about the price of laptops.
Sorry, going back to transportation. How much is the sawmill trip costing again? 12,000?
About.
Yes.
About. Is that using that? Is it the same rate as that 85.50 for the late
It's
bus?
the charter bus at the bottom, and that's the one that has the minimum, so even if we're just driving them up the road, we have to do the minimum.
Oh, it's a different thing, okay. So it's not the same rate as the late bus then?
Correct.
Is it more than that?
The charter bus is more expensive.
So why couldn't it be the late bus?
The late bus is, it's driving kids from school to home. It's different from.
But it's still staying
But
in
you only drive in
town.
one spot.
Like, that
It's
is
easier.
right.
What is the
only go
charter
one
bus
spot.
for?
But
We're
when
paying-
would the timing be? Because
Twice as much to go to Sawmill.
You guys
What's late
will
bus
notice
cheaper
there's a
than
ton
just
of
a
transportation rules about
Absolutely.
school to home transportation versus school to other destination transportation. There's all sorts of laws and rules around it. Like, for example, hypothetically, if we were to get a school van, like, we could not do school to home transportation for that. It is explicitly like, no.
Field trips.
We could do a
athletic.
field trip.
Yeah.
We could do an athletic event. We could do different things with
You
it.
could go to Sawmill.
You could if you had a big enough. Buy a van. But what you could do is like a team like golf, right? Which is going to have 6
Smaller.
or 7 kids.
Yeah.
You can load them up in the van. The coach can drive, and then you're driving them there, and you're not doing the bus expense for that. We are cognizant of our budget situation right now, but a school van could be very beneficial for all of us
Oh, absolutely.
at down the road, or two, like a.
I would agree with that.
There might be situations too, like if you
small
have a
for soccer teams,
sustainability group that wants to go over to the,
100%.
Yeah.
we've talked about that too.
3 miles, just make 2 trips.
Well, and not to mention that, if you have in-town field trips, like let's go see the horse
Special ed
place.
outings.
So
Like,
I'm-
special ed takes kids out to work jobs or work placement.
Take a giant bus every time.
Fun.
Have one
Take a giant
market
bus
basket.
I know we're under contract with the bus company, but we're, like, if it ends up like you have to transport them to Sawmill, and this is out of the contract, right?
it's at the
Is
charter
it outside,
rate.
or is it still, like,
No, it's-
considered?
It's the charter rate.
I guess what I'm asking is, can you go somewhere else? And
They have first refusal. That's in the contract, so we would have to ask.
so if you quote them the price you want to pay, they can refuse, right?
If we ask them to do the trip, I mean, we have to ask them to do the trip if we have that available.
At their rate.
At their rate.
At
You
their
can't, yeah.
Correct.
You can't win.
You're telling us.
Any other
Apparently, it's
transportation,
just start a transportation company.
business office
Make
questions?
small kill.
All right, school board and SAU.
I know this one, but it's a little. The school board net increases $622. Dues and fees is the great bulk of that for the New Hampshire School Board Association. And we do have workshops for new board members if they would like to participate in them. The School Board Association provides those if we have new school board members.
It doesn't come under that workshop.
Under that workshop line there.
But no, I thought we had like a school pass or something.
So that's a separate thing, yeah.
Okay.
So there is workshops connected to that, but not every workshop falls under that season's pass.
I asked
so-
that last night too, yeah.
And then the SAU net increase is $98. There's some minor increases to copier and supply costs and some minor decreases to workshops and postage, so. Any questions?
Questions? Human resources.
We got a net decrease, again, this is not personnel yet, this is just the department. Net decrease of a little over 2,000. Increases are pretty straightforward, 2 biggest ones. FSA is the benefits thing, Holly, right? Yeah.
Flex spending.
Yeah, I'm 95% sure. That's the benefits, participation thing that our employees can do. And then an actual software to the human resources software that we use, there's an increase to that. We're gonna do a little less advertising and our dues and fees went down. So,
Questions on HR? Personnel.
all right, big one. Net increase, this is everything, salaries, benefits, so on and so forth. And I preface this with the obvious, the LEA salary increase. There's no LEA salary increases in here, because they're in negotiations right now.
This accounts for the insurance number we saw up front.
Correct, part of this big number, but this also has some salary stuff and other movement parts. So support staff, they're in year 2 of their contract, it's a 2-year contract, 3-year, 3?
3 year.
3.
Yeah.
Losing track. 3-year contract for support staff, their last one was 2. Teachers are their current salaries, it's, be up for warrant if we come to an agreement. Non-union, we did 3% raise for non-union / admin. We have some people who are non-administrators but are not support people and not in a union, so they get a 3% raise with the administrators, and then support is a 4% raise. Support gets a 4% raise because that's the approximate raise in the LSSA contract. So we try to mirror it for our non-union support staff people who would be our
And
administrative
they're not
assistants.
merit-based, it's just based on, yeah, you've been here, you get a raise.
We have done that, just a flat raise for it rather than anything else.
Yeah, I'd rather, yeah, no. I'm a merit person, so, yeah. Go ahead.
Yep. Contractual, there's grade changes that happen, longevity, vacation buyback, different contractual obligations to us that we have to account for. For example, we do budget a certain amount of money anticipating potentially a teacher sliding to the right on the pay scale. We estimate that based on previous year's experiences. Every year there's like a couple teachers who might get their masters and kind of move up, so we try to anticipate what those increases are going to be. Contracts such as administrative contracts such as mine have different types of possible buyback situations or health insurance opt-outs or some stuff like that. That's part of it. Severance, as we mentioned before, there are 3 new ones. The salary and benefit cost for those 3 new ones is a little over 116. The 2 recurring ones, the salary and benefit cost is a little over 5,000, and it's a total of 121, 337 for severance. I'm gonna keep going it.
Yep,
'cause
keep
there's
going.
more.
Yep.
Benefits, the health insurance increase, which we mentioned before, is $462,400 about. Teacher and support staff is at that 18% figure. Non-union people are changing their plan to that school care. So it's when you get through the 4%-ish decrease and you get there, it's about 14.4 increase on their insurance to this year. Because again, you're taking the decrease on the rate change and then adding the increase to it. The dental increase, this is locked in, is at 4.4%. The actual cost for employees is about 8,000, but it's actually a net decrease related to dental because of people changing plans and one reason or another, staff changing. Life and disability, we're estimating at 5% for that, which is about an increase of $2,000. The health buyout totals, the buyouts are up a little bit. This is based upon current people who are requesting health buyouts. So the LEA people, about 49,000, not union, about 17,000. Health reimbursement account for the LEA, part of their contract, about $5,000. It's exactly $5,000 they can get back for that as a group. Unemployment rate increased to 5%. The retirement system, it's a biannual, Holly, correct me, biannual increase when it comes to the retirement system. It's not increasing this year. Those are the current rates that are paid for those 2 retirement groups. And then just general increases in taxes in retirement because they're relevant to the salaries that people make. Good.
Yep. Go ahead.
Going up.
Keep going.
Positions, right there, you can click on the link, it walks you through every single position. We're not proposing to add any positions to our budget, obviously, not even as a warrant article or anything like that. We are proposing some position reductions, 3 paraprofessionals, a special education teacher, and 2 mental health clinicians. The total savings of that for salary and benefits is about $332,000. Attrition, when you look at that, what we saved this year into attrition, when we did the whole hiring cycle in the spring, netted out to about $204,000. This is a question that repeatedly comes up. It's not necessarily a budget line, but people ask what the attrition is. It's interesting to look at, if I can draw your attention to the spreadsheet there. We didn't see the attrition in salary. We saw the attrition, I mean, there is some, don't get me wrong, but the bulk of it is in health insurance. Got no explanation other than people just either opted not to go with our health insurance when we hired them, or we may have replaced someone who had family and then had single health insurance. That you can see is a very different than what the usual pattern is with insurance. So it's a lot of money, but again, as the recurring issue, insurance just seems to be at the heart of it. So, and then I think that's all our slides for personnel. So I'll pause there.
Questions?
Did we take a look at student enrollment in GMS relative to teacher staffing? Because I'm seeing here, like, first grade, 68 students are projected, 5 first grade teachers.
So I don't think well, I gotta check. If you're seeing 68 as our projection next year, I thought our projection was higher. I think 68 is our actual this year.
Well, it says 26, 27 projection. That would be next year's, right?
Yeah, I thought it was higher than that.
It says 68 on the enrollment you linked to.
For first grade?
First grade,
Oh,
first.
second grade?
Second grade?
Grade 1.
Back on slide.
Grade 1.
Back
Oh,
on
grade
slide
1, sorry.
It says 68, and I have
Slide
in your
3,
budget
I think.
1,
Yeah,
2,
grade 1, sorry, I thought you were talking about
3,
kindergarten.
4, 5 first grade teachers.
Well, we have 5 first grade teachers this year, so it's reflecting what their current position is, because we have 5 first graders. And for example, we have 4
Right, but this
kindergarten.
should show for next year's budgeting, 4 teachers, not 5.
Well, I mean, we will flip teachers around depending on.
Well, I'm
where
just
they
saying,
end
have
up,
we
right?
compared what our needs are gonna be, because I'm gonna be comparing.
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I'm
already
saying.
looking
Like
at-
this year, like last year,
Right.
we had 5 kindergarten teachers, right? This year, we're down to 4 kindergarten teachers, but 1 teacher shifted grades.
This doesn't list
right?
kindergarten teachers in the staffing here. It only starts with grade 1.
I think it's further
So
down.
GMS regular education starts grade 1.
Right, because kindergarten's its own category.
Right,
In
so
the budget sheet.
I have 68 first graders, 5 first grade teachers.
No.
I have, yes. That's what you're projecting 68 students. You have in your
But
salaries.
in this, how they're listed in the salaries with the current position they are in right now, right?
What'll probably happen is you'll increase the second grade teacher,
Potentially, if that's where the bulk is, right?
which you've done every year. I mean,
Yeah,
that's-
like it changes depending on, some years there's 4 third grade teachers, some year there's 5th, right? Right this second, we have 5 first grade teachers, so that's why in the budget you see 5. Will we offer 5 first grade sections if there's only 68 kids? No, we'll offer 4. But if we end up needing 5 kindergarten teachers, one of those first grade teachers will shift to
So
kindergarten.
the question then is, have we compared our projections to your staffing that you've budgeted? Because
Yeah,
it's,
so we're not changing the staffing at GMS because we're predicting the same total number of students at GMS.
right, but total number, but how is it distributed across the classes?
That's what I mean, like one grade shifts, right, another grade might be bigger. Like we end up with 80 kindergartners next year, which is what our projections is, we need 5 kindergartners.
Because that, looking at the second grade too, it looks like you're overstaffed. So my concern is that the staffing does not match the enroll projections. And that because I'm gonna do the numbers myself, we can compare it later. I do it every year, so I don't know what it's gonna be. But, based on school policy, like, usually if we have 68, I would see 4 first grade teachers. If I see, 75 second grade classes, I should still see 4 second grade teachers.
But we list them in the budget for what their current position is. Does that make sense?
Well, that's a philosophy. Because then I'm not gonna be paying them
But
for.
they're elementary school teachers, right? Like if.
But my
how many
number-
elementary school teachers between the 5 grades do you have?
So we have 4 kindergarten, right now we have 4 kindergarten, 5 first grades, 5 second grade, 4 third grade, 4 fourth grade.
22.
So 22.
And in the budget, we have 22 elementary school teachers. We haven't changed the number of elementary. Now, will they have the same number of teachers for each grade? Maybe, but they're certified through elementary. So we list them in here what their current position is.
I think what the ask is, if I'm hearing correctly,
I mean, I'll double check
is,
my numbers.
is to just be able to see somewhere on a document that, yes, I hear what you're saying. What we're looking at is what it is this year. What will it look like? What do you project it to look like next year based on projected enrollment? This is what we anticipate, right? It's not set in stone. School board's decision. This is what we anticipate it to be.
Because there's some low numbers here. Like the fourth grade class is gonna decline significantly. The third grade class is on par. But that's a big drop between the first grade class and the fourth grade classes are gonna see a significant reduction based on what's projected. So we should, So based on the projections here, this year you have 79 your original projections. You have 77 in first grade, you're projecting 68 for next year. You have 88 fourth graders, and next year you're projecting 68. So that's a reduction in enrollment that should result in a reduction in staffing.
There's a big drop.
That's what's listed. I'm looking at it right here, 88 to 68.
It's your third grade going to fourth grade.
Yeah, it's still reserved for 4 teachers.
You shouldn't if you have 68 students.
I mean, that's 68 divided by 3 is like 23, 24 kids.
Kids.
Yes, I had a fourth grader in a 24 student class. I get it. Not desirable. Do you want your budget to pass? We strive for 23.
Yeah, I want the budget to pass. I don't,
So again-
I don't want a 4th grade class with 24 kids in it.
There's the strive for.
Because they're gonna move to Wyndham and have 18 kids in their class. Like,
Well, we're gonna end up there anyway once people see their tax bills and put all the real estate signs for sale. So again, we have to balance what is affordable and with what is perfect and strive to compromise.
Other questions on personnel this evening? I do think as a follow-up, seeing that projected, this is what we anticipate it being would be helpful. I know it's at 9:23. We have housekeeping slides. So we have the link, slide 29, the link to the budget committee forms. There's currently 3 questions that are in there. Mr. LaPlante has added a couple, and I added the follow-up one from last night. Anticipating that we're not going to meet next week, let's leverage this as a tool to continue to ask questions as we continue to review the document in advance of voting December 5th. I did want to allocate some time, and I'm going to forward this to the budget committee right now so that they have it. I did want to allocate some time, Ms. Darling, if you want to move to that slide. Once I find my email, there we go. I did want to allocate just some time to discuss this because I think we started the evening talking about this.
Is this somewhere else or is this?
I'm forwarding it. Well, it's on slide. It's on
slide.
slide 30 something, but I'm forwarding
Okay.
you the.
No, it's perfect.
I'm forwarding you the original right now.
I think,
Let me hit send on that. So send. I felt it was important to hear from the school. Mr. Burke started the evening in talking about our tax bills that have come out. We've seen and heard from our friends and neighbors with the heavy increases that we've all been hit with. I haven't heard of a single one going down.
there was 216, I think I heard that went down. Out of 4,400.
Those people are very quiet then. As I started to unpack some of the information of things I was seeing online, things I was seeing from the town, Ms. Kleiner, I started trying to better understand some of the numbers. And one of the things that stood out to me when you looked at the tax effort and where those additional dollars were being allocated, there was a big number sitting there for local education. And I just wanted to better understand that and why that was such a large increase. And I appreciate Ms. Darling and Mr. O'Connell in putting this spreadsheet together to help explain it. I think it's helpful for us. It's helpful for the community to see it, like what has contributed from a tax effort perspective to these dollars being raised and appropriated for local education. So I'm going to you all should have this spreadsheet in your inboxes now. I'm going to let Ms. Darling explain this, and then we can ask some follow-up questions on this. So go ahead.
So as we had mentioned before, essentially it was really a perfect storm of a variety of things that have impacted the tax rate overall. There was, of course, an increase in appropriations from 25 to 26 school year. We were in a default budget between warrant articles and just the increase overall. It was about just over $1 million, so an increase in total voted appropriations. And then with revised in revenues, we did have a slight increase, but you'll see that was fairly steady. One thing that really impacted is the voted fund balance from both years. Actually, I'm sorry, that was the wrong one. Whoops. Hold on one moment. Let me go back. Sorry about that. So voted fund balance, that we saw a decrease in that between 25 and 26. And then under fund balance to reduce taxes, in the previous year, it was a significant amount. We had the land purchase that went back in addition to the underspend, which was about 1.5 million. And then this previous year, after the school care assessment was taken care of, it was a 963,000. So having that 602,000 decrease in fund balance.
It was more than that though, because I thought we only returned 400 grand.
400?
Well, we spent a bunch through encumbrances, so we were down to 700,000 or whatever it was.
No, that's factored into this.
And then we got, so I thought we returned closer to 400 grand.
No.
Go ahead and keep going and finish, and then we can ask questions.
Sure. So we did see a significant change there, which also affects the tax rate. And then we had a significant decrease in adequacy aid from the state, which we get that estimate for adequacy in the fall, we'll actually receive it tomorrow for the following year. So we had discussed that at the school board level, that we knew that this decrease was coming. There's a portion of the formula for the state aid adequacy that's the Hold Harmless grant, and they're phasing that out. So this is the first year that we're seeing the impact of that. That in itself is almost $400,000 decrease. So we'll see that every other year until it's phased out over a 10-year period. So that is certainly a decrease, and also the SWEPT, we saw a decrease as well, and that comes in, it's part of adequacy, but it comes in through the state. So overall, it was a $514,000 decrease in adequacy that we saw this year. And then if you look below, so it ties out, you see there on the top, to that $2.4 million change, which is what you initially saw that was alarming, and of course, not just a $2.4 million increase in appropriations. So now you can see the differences. And then also when you see below, you can also see the less revenues that we had from 25 to 24. That was a decrease of $815,000, and that factors in as well. So it's just a number of factors that have played into this.
So the last time the school board faced a $2 million increase, we had 3 community meetings and the opportunity to decide as a community what percentage people would be willing to absorb as an increase. I believe the consensus was 3%. So obviously they didn't go to 2 million. So we shot past that number with very limited input. So to me, it's disappointing, and I understand why our neighbors are concerned, especially when we factor in that there's some big ticket items you guys want to put forward. I mean,
Different than that other 2 million, that's not an account, this is not an accounting error.
this was not an accounting error either. It was a
No,
state.
like-
It was a result of state aid back in, was it 2011? They changed how they were funding.
You're talking
various
about something
things.
different.
Oh,
That
So-
was completely different too, though. That was straight $2 million in
We
funding.
could have made it, yeah, but we were $1.4 million underspent. We could have had a discussion about how to handle that money instead of saying, you know what, we're gonna have some encumbrances and some other stuff, knowing that we were gonna be facing another $500,000 loss. To me, we're now asking
disagree with
people, we're asking people now after the fact instead of before, when we could have done something about it. And if people had known that we were looking for our 2.4 million, would the voting have changed on some of these things that were approved? I mean,
well, it all got voted down.
Yeah, there
We're in
wasn't a lot
default.
approved.
well, we still could have had a conversation, say, hey, we underspent. Where can we make some structural changes that you would support?
And
Just
w-
because the default went up 500 grand because costs increased, doesn't mean we couldn't have made reductions.
I've been sitting on this underspend thing for months now, and I just want to, this isn't directed at you, this
No,
is just a
that's fine.
general thing I want to push back on. The FY '25 budget, we did not develop,
Okay.
right? It would have been irresponsible for us to spend that money if we didn't develop it. We were conservative in our spending during last year's fiscal year, because if we had spent that budget down and spent every penny of that, we would both be out of a job right now.
Yeah.
Right? So in a budget we didn't develop, we were conservative in our spending, trying to save as much money as possible. And then in the first budget we proposed last year, we cut 13 positions.
So-
And in this budget right here, we've cut another 6 positions. We are doing our best, and this is not directed at you.
No, I actually have,
But-
I'm not gonna point at you in this one.
But like, when, I just want to just like gently remind people with like, I don't like returning that amount of money either. Like
Right.
what we put in for like formulas is about a $200 return, right? If we've budgeted correctly. But it would also have been irresponsible for us just for the sake of it to spend all that money last
No,
year,
absolutely.
right?
And the reality is, the school board's not the only one at fault. The budget committee signed off on that. The budget committee, as a whole, not necessarily everybody here, didn't fully do their due diligence and advocate for a tighter budget. So it's not, the responsibility doesn't solely blame on the school board. This committee didn't do its job.
I just want to like, as a general practice, like, when it underspend at the end of the year, we have to have it, because we can't go over.
Well,
right?
no,
Like,
traditionally-
So we have to have underspend, and I just want to make that note, like, because the alternative is you're in a place like Concord or Claremont or Merrimack Valley that just does not have money.
Traditionally, the goal has been 200,000 as a return.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Which is fine. When we, honestly, when we come back with 1.4 million, I'm not ticked off as much with the school board as I am with the people who didn't make the difficult decisions. It's not, the responsibility doesn't just rest with the school board.
Can you walk me through lines 12 and 13 on revenues and credits? There's an 800K difference in revenues and credits from 24 to 25. Is part of that the adequacy and swept?
That's separate from the adequacy and swept.
So what is
That's
that?
a number of federal, state, revenues that we receive, so with different grants, so whether it's special education grants, food service, there's a number of different grants that we receive, so within the DRA, we have to estimate what we think we're going to receive, and then the difference of that kind of shakes out at the end. And so the difference there between the 2 years was fairly significant.
Other questions on this information tonight?
No, just the only comment is, it's based on what we're looking at, so between the asks here and the town asks, we're looking at more significant increases. We've seen, at least, I don't even troll Facebook much anymore, and I've seen the comments. So people are not excited. So if we want to deliver something that is going to be approved, one, we have to highlight the value. Why? Why are we putting forward this number? Why am I asking you to sacrifice further? Why? And then to be cognizant of that, the pain that's being felt, and make sure that we're not building a budget with $1.4 million in underspend available. Make sure that we're asking the questions to deliver such that it's not embarrassing at the end of the year, which I credit you for spending what you need. And I think that's awesome, and thank you for not spending it because you had it. But the reality is, we set up a budget that overtaxed our neighbors, and that's we as a community did that. And we should do better.
Any other comments, questions on the tax effort discussion?
What's swept?
Swept it's a part of the adequacy formula, but it comes in specifically through the state, through property tax.
Okay.
It's that state education, when you look at the
Their
breakdown
portion of
of
what they pay for
municipal, county, local, and state, yeah.
It was in response to the Claremont, wasn't it, to help allocate money that would then get redistributed? You would know best out of everybody else, I think. But I thought that it
It's
was.
taken different forms over the years. Ray, jump in.
Yeah, feel free, Mr. People.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt. The statewide property tax was a direct response to the Claremont decision, and it was to equalize taxation for the poorer communities. So originally, it's went through a couple of upgrades and modifications. It was the rich communities such as Portsmouth and Hanover and places like that were actually and Litchfield became donor towns. So the state collected the tax and then they redistributed it to towns that don't have the same economic advantages that Litchfield has, such as Claremont, Newport, Charlestown. They're very property poor towns, and so a lawsuit was filed, and it was declared that it was unconstitutional by the New Hampshire State Constitution to redistribute that money that way. So basically what happens is now the SWEP doesn't go away, it's collected and it's returned to the town. So none of it goes to another community, it's basically recycled. It actually comes to the town, and I don't even believe it goes to the state. It's an accounting.
Which makes me wonder why we received less swept in 2025 than we did in 2024 when the valuation went up.
Yeah, I can't answer that.
Because I think other towns are doing evaluations, like my town did an evaluation, so it's changing the formula for the state across everybody, right?
It shouldn't change, it shouldn't change anything. The state rate hasn't changed.
But I mean, your value relative to other towns is gonna change depending on if you're doing an assessment.
Right, but if we collect it, send it to Concord, Concord sends it back, should be more money.
I'd be willing to get that information.
Right.
Get that
I think
clarified.
one of the challenges this district faces is our free and reduced rate is low. Like we're at I believe it's 6.6%. So in the eyes of the state, we're a more affluent school district, right? Now, whether that's true of the entire profile of the town, I'm venturing no, right? But when it comes to the state's eyes
Right.
as a school district, we're considered a wealthier school district because that free and reduced rate is low, right? So we're not getting the aid here that maybe, use Manchester as a convenient example, I know it's a huge city, but
Right.
their free and reduced lunch is probably around 50%, right? Like, so they're getting a massive amount of aid because of that. It's an extreme example, but,
Right.
you know, that hurts us the way that these formulas are. The hold harmless was supposed to help with that calculation, but they're phasing it out and relying more solely on that, not solely, but that free and reduced rate is taking a greater importance in the factor. There are lots of factorings to these formulas, but for this town, that's like a significant factor that hurts us in the funding formulas.
All right. Any additional questions on the budget itself this evening that we haven't already asked? All right. I would encourage you to leverage the Google Doc that's there that can be found on slide.
They're also on the shared drive.
Yeah, it's in the shared drive. Everything's in the shared drive. It's the best place to go.
29.
What was that?
29.
Thank you. 29. All right. That moves us to back to my agenda. That moves us to school updates.
I think you've heard enough about the schools tonight.
Any
Over
general
last week,
general
really.
questions for the school? Seeing none. Member input.
Clarifying question,
No.
Who's that?
Who is that?
Jen Grantham has a clarifying question.
Sure.
Go ahead, Jen.
in the spreadsheet document, there's, looking for the data for usage of GMS. Warren, do you want the OMS usage as well?
For what? Doug.
Yeah, LMS usage for recording.
Yeah, sure. If you have it, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's used in both, so it'd be great to see. Thank you.
Member input. New business. School facilities.
We just met. Like, I literally ran from there to here. And the big discussion was that there's a community farm coming up, that there's a bunch of options being explored, and discussions that will be had community-wide on next Tuesday? To discuss primarily options and potential educational impacts. There will be a third one, my understanding is, date TBD, to get more into the cost.
I encourage people to attend. I also, I hope, I did hear some feedback from the last session. I was not able to attend. I did hear some feedback that, hopefully there's more, I think, given everything we've talked about tonight, hopefully there's more of an opportunity for some open dialogue and open forum.
It's a different format to this one.
Okay.
That last one was based
A lot more structured.
the structure, introducing the project and coming up with a design statement. This is more presentation, and then Q&A. About half will be presentation, half
Perfect.
Q&A / feedback, open
Yep.
dialogue with
Thank
people.
you.
So.
CIP?
Not me.
Did not meet.
Next Wednesday, it wasn't Tuesday. You said Tuesday, it's next Wednesday, right?
Oh, it's Tuesday.
Okay, all right. Shoot, I
My
was
dad's
right.
birthday, if anyone
Yes.
sees him.
Any other member input, new business this evening? Seeing none. Reopen public input. Any public input this evening?
I'd like to come back one more time.
Mr. Peoples? Please state your name and address again for the record, please.
Raymond Peoples, 205 Charles Bancroft Highway. The committee I'm on is education funding, and we are dedicated right now to redoing how education is funded in New Hampshire. Just to let you know that there are a lot of bills in the queue that are going to affect and impact how education is funded. It has to change. Everybody knows that, and it can't be dictated by a court, down to 0.01 cents. And just doubling it doesn't work. Litchfield does lose money because we are an affluent community. Free and reduced lunch, that little perk is $2,300 per student that qualifies under that. So that is a lot of money when you take a community such as Manchester or Newport or Charlestown or any of the on the west side of the state. I just like to tell you that we do have a research assistant that works for our committee, and if you have any questions, if you'll email me, I can get them through the research assistant and see if we can find an answer to them, because Nobody has all of them. The Commission for Special Education is functioning right now. Everybody's looking at all the high-profile parts of the problem to come up with a solution. One hasn't appeared yet, but that doesn't mean that a bunch of people looking at it from different angles can't come up with one. So,
Great.
there is hope on the horizon.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any other public input? Seeing none, I'll close public input and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Motion by Ms. Douglas,
Second.
second by Mr. LaPlante. Roll call vote. Ms. Ames,
Aye.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Brunel.
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. LaPlante,
Yes.
Mr. Barca,
Yes.
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0-0. We are adjourned. Budget Committee will not meet next Thursday, the 20th. Thank you. We are off the week of Thanksgiving. And so our next meeting will be Thursday, December the 5th, where we will begin school budget voting. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.